Hello, everybody. Pop Culture Curator here. It is Tuesday, which means we are back with another horror sci-fi stream. And first of all, I'd like to say hello to my co-host, Nemesis of Eden. How are you doing there, Nemesis?
I am doing awesome, Pop. Fantastic, and I'm happy to be here. How are you doing? And
I'm
hello to
doing
the
great
chat.
too. Yes, definitely hello to the chat. We'll be saying hello to everyone. Yes, and I'm doing well. Thank you. It's good to hear your voice again. I think tonight's going to be fun. It's a good old classic movie. And we didn't get a chance to announce last horror stream. So I'm going to go ahead and announce it now. Halloween month is coming up. It'll be October. So for every stream we do every Tuesday within the month of Halloween will be horror, and it will be more modern, probably like 80s. We were kind of throwing around titles, so we were thinking about like maybe The Thing. Now, let's see if I can remember now. The Thing
The
and
Blob.
the new Blob. That's right.
Yeah,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, maybe.
we were
Oh,
talking about
and
that.
Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park. I had not forgotten
Uh,
Jurassic.
I was waiting to see if you remembered or not. Yeah. I'd love to. I'd love to review Jurassic Park.
All right. So when we do that, what will happen, everybody, is we'll have the four movies listed in the poll that I just mentioned, and then we'll let you vote, and we'll do them in the order that you vote. But those are the ones that I'm going to put the same four movies until we whittle them down. Obviously, I'll put four movies the first week, three movies the next, two, and so on, until we get through all the four movies of Halloween. And then once we get to the following month, we'll resume with our normal schedule where we'll just put random movies up. We'll let people vote. And Gorilla's Random Thoughts, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. I'm just in the middle of a Twitter fight with about 12 different people on the same thing, on the same post.
Oh,
Oh, God. Nasty.
amazing.
Yeah, be careful they don't shadow ban you or block you or whatever it's called.
No, no, Twitter won't do that. I really don't care about my Twitter.
Well, okay, but that's the only way we can keep in touch right now. But good luck, huh?
You have my phone number.
I don't know where your phone number is if I have it. I usually use Twitter. I don't call people on the phone.
I'll get Gorilla's phone number, and then just as a backup. And hello, Gorilla. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah. And it's nothing over. It's just fighting over. Some people think it's such a class act to leave right in the middle of a Medal of Honor ceremony. They're saying it's how great it was. No, it's disrespectful. But that's a whole
Oh,
different subject.
okay. Well, sorry to hear that. It's not cool.
Oh, it's not me that was left. It was our commander in chief who should have stayed for the whole ceremony.
Well, are you surprised? I mean, honestly.
No, I'm not.
He probably had to change his diaper.
Well, he still
Savage.
walked the hell out there pretty damn fast.
Phantom Boomer says, "Howdy, Pop. Good to see you, Phantom Boomer. Glad you could join us."
Hey,
Mikey
Boomer.
says, "Hey, Pop."
Hey,
Hello, Mike.
Boomer.
Hey, Mike.
And Mikey
Hey, Mike.
says, "They've been four. There's been four Fly films. The original, Return of the Fly. Actually, Mikey, there's one more that I think you might be forgetting. Um, it's going to be part of our trivia when I cover some of the background info. There's actually been one, two, three, five movies.
But how many of them are good? Is the ultimate question.
Right. We have tonight's movie we're going to cover is The Fly from 1958, and then there was Return of the Fly from 1959, and
Yeah.
Curse of the Fly from 1965.
Oh.
Right. As a lot of people seem to forget that. So there were three, and then we had the two movies that were made in the 80s. The first one directed by David Cronenberg, and then the second one by the makeup master Chris Wallace. And don't want to. Well, I'm glad to see Stream Elements showed up, somewhat sober. And Mikey says, personally, the remake in 1986 with me stands out, starring Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum. I agree. It's a fantastic movie, the 1986 version. It's just that everything Gina Davis has done to Hollywood and what she is now, it's really difficult for me to look at anything with her in it.
Yeah. Now, I got a question. in the remake, did they fix that god awful scream that they had?
Well, it was a different woman screaming, so probably so, if that's what you mean, I guess.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I'm liking these old movies, but when you get those high pitched screams right in the ear on the earbuds, man, that just hurts your ear.
Well, it was kind of a trope back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Mikey says, since we've seen the original with Vincent Price, we gave it a solid B+. We? Okay.
Him and his wife.
Him and his wife, yeah.
Mikey says, I'll moderate tonight, Pop. Okay. Job says, evening. Hello, Job, or LGG. So good to see you. I hope, to everybody out there, I hope you've seen this before. If not, I don't want to spoil it for you. If you have not seen it, please check it out because it is a classic. In fact, it was the highest grossest movie of 1958. And this and a couple other movies, which I'll mention tonight, are helped what really launched Vincent Price's career. He was kind of oops, there goes Gorilla. He'll be back. But Vincent Price was kind of a part-time, or not part-time, but like a second build actor up to this point. But by 1958, he had 3 big hits, which made him a headliner.
Which I find utterly fascinating, but like, because he's such a good actor, but.
Yes. Right, but he hadn't really got his horror niche. Like even in this movie tonight, he's not the horror or the bad guy or any of that.
No. If anything, he's just like a worried, concerned brother-in-law, I guess would be. Yeah.
Brother-in-law. Mikey says hello, Job, and hello, Suzanne. So good to see you. Suzanne says hello, Pop.
Hey, Suzanne. Hey, Pickles.
Hey, Jobs. Hey, Suzanne.
And Mikey says hello, Miss Eckstein. And Suzanne says Phantom hello. And Job says hi, all laying down. I'll be listening. All right. I hope you enjoy yourself, LBG. And Suzanne says Mikey hello. Huh. And Gap After Dark. I'm glad you're here, Gap After Dark. Great to see you. Hey, Pops, Gorillas, Nemesis, Mikey, Suzanne, LDG.
Hey, Gap. Good to see you, bud.
Hey, Gap.
And Suzanne says, Job, hello. And Suzanne says, Gap, hiya. And Mikey says, forget the 1965 version, Pop. And Matt G is waving. Hello, Matt G. So good to see you.
Hey, Matt.
Good to see you, Matt.
And Suzanne says, Pop, I have bad vision. Whom is on the panel? Right now, it is myself, Gorilla's Random Thoughts, and Nemesis of Eden. Suzanne Eckstein says, Matt G, hello. And hello, Scotty. Scotty says, cigarette or joint? Well, neither of my
Hey, Scotty.
Yeah.
I'll take a joint.
My lungs are in too bad a shape.
Scotty, for this
if I had a choice, it would be a joint.
Yeah.
I'll smoke one for you if I had it. Sorry, Gorilla, go ahead.
I was just saying, for this movie, you need a joint.
Yes.
But,
yeah.
Hey, it's finally legal in my state. Woohoo!
Hell yeah, buddy.
I knew it. I was telling you that when you said they were going up to vote for a vote. I knew it. About time.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I'm stoked for you. We can finally have really good weed conversations.
Yeah. Well, we still got to wait for all the dispensaries, but it wouldn't pass it. I don't know if it'd pass if it wasn't an election year.
Well, the question is, are you going to smoke it when it's available?
I'll have to see what my rules at work with on how quiet I have to be about it.
Nice. There you go.
There's some guys that just sit there and smoke right out their trucks.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might not, don't do it at work, and you should be okay.
Well, yeah, just be safe about it, buddy.
It's not like I operate heavy machinery, but also I tend to fall asleep when I smoke, so.
You need a nice sativa. Anyways, we're getting off topic here, so we should carry on.
Okay. Phantom Boomer says, hey, Suzanne. And Suzanne says, Scotty, hello. Scotty says, hey, Yasu. Matt G says, hello. And Suzanne says, hello, Gorilla. Scotty says, Matt G. And Gap After Dark says, hey, Scotty, Matt G. Scotty says, Gap. And Gap says, hey, Phantom Boomer. Mikey says, hi, Scotty. Looks like everybody's saying hello to each other. Scotty says, Mike. And hello, Phantom Boomer says, Mikey. And hello, Lemon Pie. Welcome. Glad to see you again. Lemon Pie says the original title for The Fly was Pretty Fly for a White Guy. Glad they changed it. I don't know about that. And Suzanne says lemon pie, hiya.
Hey,
Mikey says
Scurvy.
Matt G, hello. And Suzanne says Nemesis, hello. Mikey says hello, Gap. Lemon pie says hi, Suzanne.
Hello,
Lemon
Suzanne.
pie, Lemon pie says hey, Pop, Nemesis, and Gorilla. And Gap says
Heyo.
hey, Lemon pie says Gap. And hi, make Lemon pie says hey, Mikey and Gap. And Scotty says, Joint, I will be back. All right, sounds good. Matt G says, Lou. And Mikey says, hello, Lemon. Lemon Pie says, Scotty, hey, hey. And Scotty says, Lemon. Matt G said, this movie is great. Yes, I agree. It's one of my favorite. Still holds up. Well, if you don't talk about the remake. But it's still a good movie for its time. Matt G says, hello. And Phantom Boomer says, hey, Gap and Mikey. And Phantom Boomer says Lemon Pie, Scotty Art 37, hail. Phantom Boomer says Matt G. Lemon Pie says Phantom, Matt G, hello. And Suzanne says everyone is over at Dillard Street. Oh, okay. Well, I hope they have a good time over there.
Yeah, we'll see him on the rerun. It's all good.
Right, it's all good. Maybe it might cause less confusion too. Last time we were a little crowded too, so maybe it might make tonight go by a little smoother. Suzanne Eckstein says, I told them you're live, Pop. Well, I appreciate that, Suzanne. Just as long as it's okay with Dillard. I know some people, it kind of throws them out of whack when you plug into the channel while they're live.
Dillard seems to be good shit.
Yeah,
anyways, go ahead, Gorilla.
So, I don't know who this Dillard is, so.
He's an artist. He's an artist. Yeah. He's pretty good. He's on Captain's channel a lot.
Yeah. And
he's very talented.
And if I'm just saying hi to anybody, hi.
Hello.
Yes, same. If I haven't said hello to anyone in the chat who's been read, hello.
All right.
And I wanted to apologize up front, everybody, for the last week or two. I know that we really got really top heavy. We had a lot of people on the panel, and it got to the point where a lot of people were talking and shouting over each other like they were competing to talk. And I came up with some guidelines between Gorilla and Nemesis of Eden and myself of how we're going to handle that in the future. I want to make sure that everybody is respected and everybody gets an equal amount of time to talk. The host of the show, which is Nemesis of Eden and myself, sometimes Gorilla, need to be able to talk over everyone if we have to. I'm not going to tell anybody to shut up. But if people are talking too much or they're talking over each other, I'll just say time. And I'm hoping they'll respect that. That will let them know that one of us needs to talk. Last week we covered Night of the Living Dead. And between myself and Nemesis of Eden, we had lots of notes and trivia and behind-the-scenes info we wanted to share on that movie. And we weren't able to even touch the tip of the iceberg because so many people were talking.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to trim it down tonight, a little bit less talking, a little more in the movie. Try to keep it more on topic, not going off on tangents. And like I said, through it all, I'll try to be as polite as possible. And I definitely am not going to tolerate any name calling. If anybody starts calling names, that's immediate removal from the panel.
Yeah. I still think we should go with my Wi-Fi. We should get everybody some Wi-Fi shot callers. That way, they do start talking over each other names. We can just press the button.
This is true. But to be in all seriousness, like if you don't have a good Wi-Fi connection, sorry, you're not allowed up on the panel. Like if you're talking over people, or if we've warned you more than once or twice, we're just going to boot you. Like if Pop's unable to say something and it's polite, I will be the impolite one. Doesn't matter. But we just want respect here. And we want this to go as smoothly as possible. There won't be as many tangents, hopefully, fingers crossed. We won't have people going off and talking more than anyone else. Everyone's time here is valuable. Like, no one gets to talk more than anyone else, unless it's pop culture, because it's his channel. But even then.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Hi, guys.
Hello, PvP. Good to see you, sir. Hope you're doing well.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Gorilla. Hi, Nemesis.
Hey, PvP.
Glad to be on for this one. I watched it last night because I hadn't seen it in like 30 years or something. And yeah, it was very interesting.
Were you going to say something, Gorilla?
No, I was going to say I'll read the chat while you're pulling it all up and getting everything ready.
Okay, and I wanted to remind or kind of reiterate what Nemesis of Eden was talking about. Nemesis of Eden and Gorilla's Random Thoughts, being my co-host, do have the right to and the authority to correct people when they're doing wrong. If I'm not around, or if I'm not doing it, I could be distracted or on my phone or something. So right. I want to clarify that if somebody is being rude to another person, be it from the panel from one person on the panel to another person on the panel, or from somebody on the panel to somebody down in the chat, I'll give them a warning, and if they continue, I'm going to mute their mic. I don't like doing it. It sounds rude, but I will mute. And if they continue, I'll unfortunately have to remove them from the panel. But name calling is an immediate removal from the panel. And there's no reason. Go ahead, PvP.
Just one quick thing I just want to mention. As far as the name calling and stuff goes, yeah, I totally agree with what you guys are saying, 100% for sure. And I just wanted to add that sometimes this is occasionally, but I have seen it once or twice at least, where someone in the chat will actually start getting rude, to people on the panel.
Well, I was going to say that. Yeah, I hadn't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Okay. I'm done.
Well, no, that's okay. Yeah, this does include people in the chat because we monitor the chat. As you guys know, we read the chat. So if I see somebody on the chat getting rude or offensive to somebody within the chat or on the panel, same thing, I'll give you a warning. And if it continues, I hate to have to do it, but I will remove you from the stream. And as a reminder, if you have conflicts with other YouTubers from other channels, like if you guys are arguing or you have misunderstandings or disagreements on other channels, please don't bring them here. This is a mutual place. I'm hoping everybody will get along, and maybe you guys can get along long enough until you at least are on a different stream. I want to make this friendly and respectful for everybody is all.
This is a neutral panel. We try to respect everyone here, and we expect respect back.
Yeah, and we will be as polite as possible. Like I said, I don't like you having to do this, but I'm going to do this to protect everybody on the panel and in the chat, because you guys don't deserve to be treated badly when you come here. I want you guys, when you visit Pop Culture Curator channel, to know you're not going to be disrespected or talked down to, criticized, any of that stuff. That's not allowed here any longer.
And one last thing about the chat, I do believe Pop and I talked about it. When it comes to before the stream or before the movie starts, we will read all the chats. We'll read everything. But during the actual movie review, if the chat's just talking amongst themselves, if it has something to do with the movie, we will definitely read it out. Or if it's personally addressed to one of the panelists, we will read it out. But if it's just people saying hello to each other or whatnot, we'll flash it on the screen. We'll acknowledge it, but we won't verbally say anything, and we'll just carry on unless it carries weight to the movie, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense.
Thank you, Nemesis. Yes, unless you want us to read it, then address it to the panel. Like address it to myself or somebody else on the panel. But if it's like, for example, like Suzanne saying hello to Sean Carter, hey, Sean, how was your day going? Are you feeling any better? That kind of stuff. We look at that as like kind of like chat. And the reason why we're doing this, by the way, everybody, is to cut down time so these streams don't go on for 4 or 5 hours. Because we notice that when they do go on, the longer they go, I start dropping the viewers. People seem to tune out, which I don't really blame them. So we're going to try to make it a little bit more lean and move along a little faster.
Yeah, and especially when you're say you miss the stream and you're looking on the rewatch. I've seen it. I looked at it and it's like 5-6 hours. I was like, I'll come in and drop a like, but I'm not listening for 6 hours or 3 hours on 2 times speed.
That's what a lot of people do, yeah. So I'm gonna. Oh, which reminds me, everybody, as well. Another idea we were discussing is whenever we vote for a movie, when I put the poll out in the community tab, say here's 4 movies, vote on the one you want to see. When people pick a movie and choose it, I'm going to produce a 5 to 10 to 15 minute video, which is a basic review and just kind of like covering over the movie with not going into a lot of detail. And I'll release that as a video first, but we will still do the live stream where everybody's invited. We can all talk about it, and then we'll have a lot more time, and the time won't be restricted. So basically, you'll get a video review. After you vote for a movie, you'll get a video review within a couple days, and then that'll go posted, and then we'll have our Tuesday nights live panel. Is how we'll do that. We'll this is tentative. We'll test the waters and see how it works out.
I'm excited for that, Pop. If you need help, let me know.
Yes, and you're definitely invited. That's another thing I put in the community tab. That it's volunteer. If anybody would like, we can have the same person helping me out each week. Different people. It's totally up to you guys. Sometimes it
Yep.
might be a movie that you want to talk about. Sometimes a movie that you don't want to talk about. So you never know.
Right. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
opens it up, right?
I can't. I can't really probably do that this time because I don't have a
That's
whole
okay.
lot of
We can talk
time.
about that later.
But maybe in a
Yeah.
month or two, maybe in a month or two or something. So yeah, I'll keep it open.
Okay. Thank you. And like I said, hello. We've said hello to every chat. Hello to everyone on the panel. Gorilla, can you help me catch up on the chat?
Yep, you do that. Yeah, well, I'll do that while you're getting the thing popped up.
Gotcha.
And Suzanne says, Dillard is a great kid. Okay. And Nemesis, my joke didn't land, but it's okay. You can't win them all. Right? Half of my jokes don't land. There. Heck, there's a reason half the people think I'm stupid and half the people think I'm funny. Oh, actually, wait. This is the sci-fi stream, so I could actually say what they really call me.
Uh-oh.
At least he's not being sour about it.
Yeah,
And-
it helps to have a sense of humor for sure.
Yeah.
Nemesis.
And Mikey said David Hedison played Felix Leader in 2 Bond films too. Okay.
Oh, I've forgotten now.
The Gap says I've got my fly swatter for the movie in case flies show up.
Uh-oh.
Hey, bring that
That's
fly
nice.
swatter over here, Gap. Bring that fly swatter over here.
Hmm.
And Mikey says, me too, Gap. And Mikey's telling you hi, PvP.
Oh, hi, Mikey.
And Scurvy says if people talk over each other, they get kicked by Nemesis wing-tipped fancy shoes. I gotta hear that story, Nemesis, about your wing-tipped fancy shoes.
Well, Lemon wasn't supposed to tell anyone. Like,
Secrets out.
So, it sounds like the last thing you had to buy them and wear them for a day or so. Suzanne says, Pop and Nemesis, beware of 2 counts that are nothing but drama. Captain, have fun, and Planet Fun Time.
Well,
Those
hopefully they will bring stuff here. So that as long as they don't bring their stuff, their drama and stuff, turmoil here.
Those sound like 2 bad 70s pornos right there, those names.
they sure do.
Gap says, hey, PvP. Scurvy's telling
Gap.
Hi.
Hi, Lemon. Hi,
Susan, says,
Suzanne.
Hello, Gap. Good to see you.
Susan says, if you
Hey,
need
Gap.
more info, contact me on Discord, fellas. Okay.
Sorry, Suzanne. I don't use Discord. I know people have been asking me to get on there, but it's just another chat program. I was like, maybe eventually. I even created a profile like a year or 2 ago, and I haven't even been back. I don't know.
I have it,
I'll
but
consider it.
I have it, but I turned my notifications off because my phone was going off.
Well, so did I, because I was getting a lot of garbage. That's why I kind of steered away from it.
I joined 2
That's-
servers and my phone goes off every 30 seconds, so I said, screw it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
mildly
fine.
frustrating. It's like Twitter for me. I've silenced Twitter too. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, I'm about ready to silence the Twitter too, because it goes off all the time, and
Yeah.
I can't
Well,
have that happen.
Well, it's going off for people I don't even follow. It's like, why do I even care about this? But Susan says, why can I not see PV? Hello. That's because he might have been buried by the chat here. And
He is 100% buried by the chat.
says,
Oh, PvP is at the top.
yeah. She
I
says,
moved
because,
him.
Oh,
and Scurvy says, because PvP is shrouded in eggnog mist. Are you caught up to Live Point? And she says, Scurvy, LOL. Suzanne says, awesome, Pop, great rules. Neutral
Thank you.
territory, says Boomer.
That's right. Hallowed
I'm-
ground.
I'm Sweden, SC. I don't know.
Southeast Sweden, maybe.
Yeah, well, I thought she was in the United States, but neutral territory, that would have been Switzerland. But even they
Switzerland. Yeah.
yeah, but Switzerland broke their neutrality with this whole thing going on in Europe. And Scurvy, so you mean Switzerland?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Sweden
That's what
is
she,
in
that's
NATO
what she-
now. Ha ha ha. Yeah. They've been laughing at us for the last 50 years, because they didn't have to pay for all this crap. But now, then they could have all their benefits in that. But no, then also they can get in. They should have to pay back fees. But Susan says, Lemon Pie, One of them places that has hot chocolate. Yeah. Haha, Suzanne. And here Suzanne keeps saying, "Go if you can help her out. She's getting close to being back on her feet, but just let's help her out a little bit more."
Yeah, she's a struggling grandparent with a 14-year-old kid. So anything that you can do to help her out is greatly appreciated by everyone. And thank you, Lemon, for posting that.
And she says,
Yes, thank you.
"Scurvy, you rock. Thank you so much for dropping my link." And welcome, Jim. Welcome.
Hello,
Hi,
Jim.
Hey, Jim.
And Mad Scientist says hi, hello all.
Hello, Mad Scientist. Good to see you.
Hey, Mad Scientist.
And here is our sleepy video. Oh, puppy video there.
Please post links at the end of the stream.
And here's my channel here for reviews, shorts, and watch parties. Looking like Sunday I'll have to move my cinema Sunday there. So far, I only had one person respond that I seen for the time change of which one they'd want.
Okay. I didn't answer because I probably won't be there. Sorry.
I have to work.
But
I might stop by in the chat, but I won't be watching the movie.
Yeah.
well, I don't know what movie it is, so I'm not sure if I'm going to watch it. So yeah.
Toys
Yes,
with Robin Williams.
Oh, the Robin Williams one. Right. Okay. Yeah, I might watch it. I don't know.
Yeah. So, well, usually there's like 6 of us in the group that come in and say hi. So and come watch the movie. So I was like, let's see which people would prefer. I'm leaning towards 12:30.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, if it's 12:30, I'll probably. That's Sunday because I might be on with Jill at that same time. So.
Thank
Because
you.
we do our little watch party thing too on Sunday mornings quite often. So
Okay.
Sunday fun day. My goodness, everyone's
All
busy.
right. So here we go. This movie
All right.
I did look all over, and I'm trying to figure out why it says Al Hedison instead of David Hedison. That's the reason why I stayed on this frame. I haven't been able to find out. Do you know why?
Yeah. I was just going to mention it first when I started watching it last night. I'm saying, who the hell is this Al Hedison guy? I never heard of him, right?
Maybe he changed his name.
He did. Well, he changed his name to David the following year in 1959 at the advice of his agent. I guess his agent thought it sounded catchier. His middle name is David, so he's Al David Hedison.
Gotcha.
So he just dropped the first name and just used his middle name as his first name. And I guess that probably did help his career, because I think David Hedison sounds a little more memorable than Al, to be honest.
Yeah, and it probably was because of the success of this movie.
Could be. Yeah, could be.
It was the biggest thing in his career at the time, and like I said, it was the biggest movie in 1958.
Yeah, well,
Which is weird. You would have thought that he would have wanted to have his full name on there then.
Well, yeah, because when you watch it in retrospect, he's not really in it that much. In fact, the role of the role that he was offered was originally offered to Michael Rennie from Day Dare Sit Still, and he turned it down because he said he didn't want his head covered most of the time. So our actors got to show their faces, as we've seen in the news. All the recent superhero movies where nobody's supposed to know their identity, but everybody knows their identity.
Well, how are you supposed to see that they're beautiful?
I prefer the secret identity. I'll take Clark.
Oh, dude, I know.
Superman.
Oh, well, I know.
So I was just wondering then. So I was guessing. I guess all the scenes where he's the Fly, is that not actually Hedison, but like a stand-in, or?
I can't find anything on it. Since he wasn't doing any manual labor, I'm guessing it may have been Hedison, but then to save money, they may have not have used Hedison.
That's what I was wondering, yeah, because that.
But it wasn't. But at the time, it wasn't considered low budget, though. It was considered a big budget movie for the time.
Yeah, I was surprised Hedison's, got the starring, first spot, because I usually don't think of him as the leading man, type. I think of him more as a secondary character in a lot of stuff, but he was good in this movie, though. I thought it was a good performance.
Absolutely. He's a little young for it. You can tell they try to make him look older than he is, but yeah, he does a good job. And you'll hear a lot of this is English subtitles, but it takes place in France, so that's why you'll see a lot of French words.
That's
Maybe
another
we
thing
have
I wondered about. Why France? It's like,
Because that's
huh?
where it was filmed.
and
Oh,
that's
they
where the
filmed it in
original.
France. Oh,
No.
Well,
okay.
I don't know if it
Oh,
was necessarily filmed in France, but the original short story was written by a Frenchman and was
okay.
originally published in Playboy magazine.
Oh, well, I guess that kind of makes sense then. Yeah.
So we have the night watchman here. He's checking in, clocked in. I remember clocking in on one of those things when I was a teenager, but now they're all electronic.
Hmm.
And so we're in it's Vincent Price's factory, basically, or his workshop.
Yeah, workshop. He owns with his brother, co-owns.
And
the
so
night,
go ahead.
I was just going to say the night watchman is just doing his duties when he hears a noise on the other side.
You hear a mechanical whirring, and he looks over, and you can hear some noise. And this is easily one of the best shots in the movie coming up.
Oh, yeah. Kind of shocking.
It's what hooked me in. Oh, dude, it was amazing. I was just like... So for those who don't know, this is a hydraulic press. It's basically something that'll squish something to a flattened paste. And we have a beautiful woman here who seems to be operating the press.
Hey, Captain.
Hey,
Hey,
Captain
Captain.
Infinity, welcome. Good
Hi,
to see you.
Captain. Hello. Yeah, this was a pretty gory scene for 1958, I thought.
Yeah, it was. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'd say they were pushing the limit. Yes.
Hmm.
Boom,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like a Hammer
Yeah.
horror film. The blood is so bright. It's like over exaggerated. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I love the Hammer horror movies. Oh my god,
Yeah,
that's
me
like
too.
meat and potatoes at horror. Wait till we get to that. I don't think it's forever to get through all of those.
That'll
Oh,
be-
dude, I know. That's why I haven't like even touched on the Hammer horror films yet. But like, yeah, we'll get to them for sure. And yeah, Buddy's facial expression here, really good acting.
Are you there, Captain? Can you hear us? Can we hear you? Captain, we'll be able to hear him soon enough.
Oh, speaking of hearing, how does my sound tonight, guys? Because some
Sounds
streams
good.
I've noticed, some streams when I replay them, my sound seems to be a lot lower than everybody else's. But as long as it sounds okay, then I guess that's all good. Yeah.
Oh, and I thought you were louder than everyone else. To be honest, like your volume seems to be set kind of high.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting. Yeah.
There's Captain.
Yeah, I'm with Nemesis on that one.
What settings do I need to go into on StreamYard? I guess.
StreamYard, there's settings, and you'll see where it says microphone.
Audio. So what level do you guys set yours at?
69%. 69.
Nice.
That's a good one.
I got
that's
mine.
right.
I mean, mine's just at the standard stock settings for whatever my headphones are at, but from what I can tell, it seems to be
Oh,
pretty good.
Sure. Just hit the automatically adjust the volume setting. Is that the one that's best
Yeah,
to
you
use?
could do that. Uh-huh.
All right, we got.
I mean, it depends on the guest. If I get Jill on panel, I take 10% off everyone else.
Okay, how do I sound now? Because I did hit the button there. So
Sounds good.
sounds good. Okay,
Quite reasonable.
I'll stick
Yeah.
with that. Great.
Still Canadian.
We got quite a bit of chat here.
Go for
Okay,
it,
let's
Gorilla.
get through
Thank
those
you.
chats.
Yeah, Mikey says I see PVBs. Help me, LOL.
Oh, that's yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Lemon
right.
pie. Mikey.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Mikey says rip Kathleen Freeman, great actress.
Yeah, I'm going to be mentioning her. She's one of my favorites. Mostly known as a comedian, but yeah, this is one of her few straight roles. It was interesting.
Yeah, she was really good in it.
And Mikey says Ben and I also did makeup for TOS.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Just in case I have a can of fly spray.
work.
Nemesis said, at least I wasn't sour. Lemon? Ha ha. I just got that.
Well, at least someone did.
I didn't even catch it.
Don't
okay,
be
mine.
bitter, Lemon.
Oh,
Scurvy
Hello,
says,
lemon pie.
hello, Captain. Here is LDG's channel for you need a place to hang out or IT help at freethenet.org/underground.
Thank you.
definitely check them out.
Yeah, great
Yep.
channel.
was that tomato paste?
Hmm?
And Oiler Greg says, Hammer horror is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
hello.
Greg.
Hello, Oiler Grey. Good to see you.
Yeah, here's Nemesis of Eden's channel for 6,856,286 classic car
Oh,
videos.
that's somewhat of an exaggeration.
Yeah, there was like one or two less than that, man. Jeez, bro. But for those who are interested, there is no 3969 on the end of that anymore. It's just Nemesis of Eden. And
Yes,
yes,
and
please check out my channel.
I did update the stream elements bot too, so thank you, Nemesis.
Well, thank you, Pop. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And you know I gotta do that, Nemesis, because you loaded, 60 of them all at once?
Oh, dude, I know. You're just being a gorilla.
Yeah.
Mm.
And now Oiler Greg's helping for, help me out! All right, we're all caught up.
Help
All
me!
right.
Suzanne. Now we're caught up.
Gap's asking what the budget of the movie was.
Good question.
$73.58, not adjusted for inflation.
I haven't had a chance to look that up yet.
But
I'm
adjusted for
looking that up
inflation,
right now.
I'm sure
$11
we can find out during the course of the stream.
All right, I'll look it up here.
All right, it's a race.
Yeah,
Let's see who can get there.
Is the number you're going to give us at the time dollars or adjusted for inflation modern dollars or British pounds or Chinese yuan? Are you going to? Is it a sliding scale? How are you going to do it?
What year
Budget was between 325,000 and 495 or 495,000.
At the
1958
time,
Gorilla.
that's a lot, but modern dollars, that's nothing.
500,000 USD flat
And I
out.
was
Well,
thinking
then or now?
500,000. I was thinking about. I don't know why. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, it was very successful. Thank goodness. I want to point out here that the night watchman, and this is something that is highly illegal now, and you can get in trouble for. But notice the night watchman calls the boss instead of the police. As we all know now, anybody in the modern era knows that if you don't call the police first, there's going to be a lot of questions. And we have the wonderful Vincent Price.
You bet. Best star in the movie.
Yeah, I remember as a kid watching this because I was already a fan of Vincent Price, thinking, well, why is he like the second guy in it? Why is he not the leading role? I never figured that out when I was a kid. And it wasn't until later on that I found out that he was still up and coming. But this was the year that really broke his career and made it really big and put him on top with.
This is before he met Michael Jackson.
Oh, that was a tragedy, yes.
I thought his solo rap on Thriller was amazing. Really elevated the whole thing.
Yeah, but I thought it was the fact that he even worked with Jackson at all was a cheap cash grab. Anybody and everyone in Hollywood. Anyone and everyone in Hollywood knows what Michael Jackson was long before us, the public, did. So I kind of lost a lot of respect for him. And Benny Hill was about ready to work with Michael Jackson too, but fortunately he passed away before he was able to. Michael Jackson was going to teach him how to moonwalk.
Benny Hill, but he stole the moonwalk. It was called the backslide when Jeffrey did it from Shalimar. Anywho,
well, it all started with
that
Curly.
moonwalk.
It started with Curly Howard from the Three Stooges. That's where the moonwalk originally started.
Oh, boom! So wow, even Shalimar stole it.
Yeah,
got inspired by.
I read a biography from Curly, written by one of his family members, and the foreword was by Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson.
How Michael Jackson took the moonwalk from the Three Stooges? What kind of timeline am I living in, Nemesis?
Yep. That was Michael Jackson's word. That's where he got it from.
That's pretty
Curly
funny.
Howard.
Just imagine the Three Stooges doing Billy Jean.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Moving on.
All right.
Yes, back to the movie.
And I forget the subtitles they're Gilligan's Island subtitles every now and then. We're going to get the little skipper wheel in there.
no, it is tradition with the horror sci-fi stream.
Yes,
We're not apologizing for that.
No, but going back to him calling the boss beforehand, maybe that's the way they do it in France there. Maybe the boss is the one that's supposed to call the police in that because he has the direct line directly to the inspector.
That's possible, but I'm sure the factory has it. I mean, the night watchman obviously went to the phone, and I'm sure they had an outside line. But it's just the 1950s, so things were done a lot differently. And there's also other points in this movie, which I'm going to point out too, that definitely show the sign of the times.
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
really
for
We
sure.
don't have mobile phones.
I mean, it's not like it was like time was the essence. There wasn't really much they could do for him.
That's not the
Oh,
point.
dude, I
The
laugh.
point is, if
Well,
you
and
don't
there's
call it, they look at the point is, anybody knows these days, modern days, they look at the phone records, and if you don't call the cops first, there's a load of questions. That's just a fact. Because it automatically makes you suspicious and a suspect if you don't. Well, that's a warning for you guys if you ever see a crime committed or something like this. Call the cops first. Don't call somebody else.
Hello, police. I'd like to report an emergency. I smell reefer.
well, I'm sorry, Captain. Jesus, it's not my fault.
So we have Vincent Price saying, "This is Francois Delambre speaking." Helene, how are you? What can I do for you? So he's speaking to the wife, the lady we saw by the printing press. And then here's where she informs him, Francois, I've killed Andre, her husband. I need your help.
And his
Exactly.
brother.
Yeah, not exactly what
Right.
you expect to hear.
Well, and he doesn't really believe her because that's not something that she would normally say. So that's why he says, "Now look, Helene, it's past midnight. I've had a
Like
hard day. I
that
love
jokes
you
are
both
funny, but
dearly." Right. I have a hard day, but I love you both, but dearly. But this is sort of a joke. She says it's true. I've killed Andre, and now as he starts to get serious with video work, you killed, but call the police and come quickly. She says. Here's another example. She called him, and she didn't call the police. She telling him to call the police for her, which right there would cause all these questions in modern day. That is an absolute no-no. You've got to call the cops first. Then you can call whoever you want afterwards. They don't care. But normally they'll keep you on the line now with 911 until the cops get there.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Here's where she's automatically making herself the victim, which I guess in a way she is because she didn't want to do what she had to do. But the fact that she tells him call the police because I can't. Suspicious. If I was the police, I would be like all over that. And she hangs up and he says, Helene, and then he heads over there. And just as he's getting ready to leave, he receives a call from the night watchman. And here's the night watchman says he tried to call you, but apparently he was busy because he had Helene on the phone. And he says something terrible has happened. That's a regular phone gorilla. That's something that would get the outside.
Yeah, no, but I thought maybe standard procedure would be call the boss so that they could get everything coordinated, and then they call the police right after they call the boss.
yeah, it's hard to tell with like a place like this. It's a movie, right? Like it's
right, but just what you said, gorilla. Doesn't that make it sound suspicious? Call the boss, get everything coordinated, then call the police.
Well,
you don't think that sounds wrong?
Well, getting people. Not necessarily. Depends on what they're doing there.
The cops want to talk to everybody separately before they get together and make up a story. That's the whole point of the cops doing an investigation.
Makes sense.
That's why you question all you knuckleheads separately. See if all
right.
You
that's what I was just going to say. Right.
Straight.
That's what I was going to say. Was when the cops arrive, that's why they separate everybody and get the stories separately. Then the cops huddle together and share what everybody said to find out what was conflicting. But like I said, this is the 1950s, so it wasn't quite down, and set in stone yet.
Yeah.
So here's where the night watchman tells him that a man is dead. His head is under the press. He saw a woman running away, and it looked like it was Madame Delambre. So he did recognize the woman. There's no question there. So now Vincent, of course, I'm going to get his name wrong. I'm going to keep calling him Vincent.
Francois. It's Francois.
Right, Francois. Thank you.
You're
Stay
welcome.
there, Gaston. I'll get the police immediately. And they're all stereotypical French names. Francois, Gaston.
Pierre.
And now is where he finally calls now notice he doesn't call the police station, he calls the inspector. At the club, which apparently it means he's on his off hours. Is Inspector Shara still there? Thank you, I'll wait. So here we are. The phone is brought to the inspector who is playing chess. Hello, Inspector. He says, this is Francois Delambre. You may remember we met a few times at the club. He says, yes. He says, well, I'm in terrible trouble. Go ahead, Gorilla.
Didn't they establish that this is after midnight? There's still people out and about, so this must be the weekend then.
Well, I know he said that it's late. Did he say midnight?
Yeah, he said it's after when he was talking to the one gal. He said it is after midnight.
Oh, well, it's possible they were up late. People were up late back then. I don't know if it's a weekend or not.
They didn't establish what day of the week it was.
Yeah.
And he says, "Trouble, monsieur. My sister-in-law just phoned. She killed her husband, my brother Andre." And he's explaining to the inspector where it happened at the factory de l'Ombre Frères, which means I need to look up French. I apologize, guys. I'm not that associated with the language.
Yeah, should we catch up on chat real quick?
Yes, and if there's anybody that speaks French out there, please correct us. I don't want to butcher the language.
So, Gab said, thanks for the answer there. And she said, Chad called the police on the cleaning crew. He really should have called the boss. And he said, Brother Greg said, oil-filled tails, LOL. And Mikey says, right, Pop. Curse of the Fly 1965, year I was born, LOL. And Brother Greg says, ding ding 65. And Mikey says, budget between $325,000 and $495,000. Apparently, Suzanne is the same age as Mikey. And Oil Greg says, how much in today's money, Mikey? I'll do it. So,
Yeah, thank you, Ola Greg. Otherwise, the information is effectively meaningless. Here we go. 2 million according to Mikey Sue's 4. 2 million. That's still a modest budget.
I guess we need to.
Vincent Price for. No wonder he was up and coming.
I guess we need to prepare for these questions.
yeah. Adjusted for inflation there. The value in it would be $1,915,443.43.
That's very specific. Is that really? I didn't realize inflation calculation was such a science.
So, well, they're going by the average inflation rate of like 3.7, but they did do the yearly inflation calculation and stuff.
Thank you.
But,
I appreciate that.
So basically, it's a $2 million movie.
Appreciate that, Gorilla.
And Mikey said box office $3 million or $1.7 million per inflation. And Oiler Greg said 1965 again, ding ding. And Mikey said weird coincidence. Miss Eckstein, my wife Suzanne, was born in 66 there. Oiler says perhaps everyone here was born in 65. I wasn't. I'm way.
Yeah,
Heck,
not everybody.
Heck, my parents weren't even a twinkle in their parents' eyes. And my grandparents.
Right. What's the next one?
Mikey said just under $2 million in today's funds. Oh, I didn't even have to do it. Oiler Greg says, cool, great value for the money, Mikey. I try not to reveal too much personal information on the internet, so I'm not saying.
Same here. Yeah, I don't mention names, anything. Yeah, I'm usually pretty private about that. It's a good idea, usually.
Yeah, Mikey says, Oiler man there.
I'm Generation X. That's all you need to know.
And I will agree with this. Great red smoking jacket.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Amen.
Very stylish.
Nice outfit, Mikey or Vincent. And then this is PvP's channel for all your rock and roll needs.
You don't need to read this. You don't need to read the stream elements. I appreciate it, Gorilla, though.
Oh, I was just doing the ones of the people here.
I know. It's just that I know we're going to try to cut this down in time. So I was. That's one of the things I forgot to mention is everybody, when you see a stream element spot pop up promoting a channel, please check it out. But we're going to try to keep this under 4 hours or so tonight. So we're going to try to trim those down the best we can, right?
And Oiler Greg says, that's very specific, very funny, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're all caught up.
Thank you. So here's we have Francois, I believe, our night watchman called to. There was a body. He's explained to the inspector. And the inspector asked him, where are you now, Mr. Del Hombre? He's at his own home. I'll pick you up in a few minutes. Goodbye. You'll have to excuse me. And in reality, these I don't like comparing to modern days, but I can't help it. But the cop would not go and pick him up. The cop would just head straight to the factory. And the boss, on his own, would, of course, head there as well. And he excused himself from the chess game. And now we cut to the factory. Inspector Helene no, we ought to look at her first. He thought about going to pick her up. But he said, no, we're going to check the crime scene out first. He said, she'll be all right. Another thing, too, the no hurt, you'll arrest her, which is definitely not like now.
I don't know if she'll be all right after you just crushed her husband's head.
Well, these days they would have cops over there and she'd be in handcuffs faster than anything. In fact,
I imagine
even before
so,
these two arrived at the factory, she'd already be in handcuffs.
Right.
Yeah, there'd be more efficient ways to do it than the old press.
Right. What really stands out in this movie, which we'll see without giving spoilers, is, and it's over the top ridiculously, to the point of ridiculousness, how much they coddle her when she's the apparent suspect of a tragedy and a murder like this. They coddle her and they treat her with kid gloves way over the top, much more than she deserves, in my opinion. But that's an opinion. So here's where the inspector asks, because remember, Francois, if it's a price, it's his factory. He knows how to operate everything. So the inspector says, how can you raise the press? And he says, Francois says, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Do you like us to get... Sorry, what was that?
I said, welcome, Sean.
Hello, Sean. Good to see you. Glad you could make it.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
And here's where Francois operates the press, opening it up. And they determined that the body's been dead about 30 minutes, which makes it about right, because that's when the night watchman saw her leaving. And this is another thing that's gruesome. The inspector asked him, is the downstroke fast? And he says no, which means it's very slow death. And he says, is there any danger of it coming down again? And he says no. But then when he realizes here, he'll say that it's been set for 50 tons. Impact 0. That means level with the bed. It means totally flat. And it's never been set that way, never. And he says that would squeeze the metal to nothing. And there are, if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, there are videos on YouTube where people use presses to squeeze everything from the soda cans to all kinds of things.
It's truly horrifying. I've done sheet metal work, and it's scary stuff.
Yeah, those videos are strangely satisfying.
I know they are. They're like ASMR or whatever that's called.
It's kind of like those pimple ones. It's like they're so gross, but yet you can't look away.
And Francois says it's been set for single strokes too. And he says she didn't even know how to operate the press. And he says, are you sure this is her brother? And he says, well, and this is when he says, oh, would you mind, doctor? And he had now remember, this is his brother, the victim of the printing press. So he says that he has a scar on his leg.
Yeah, he said it was a war scar, which, him being a Frenchman, I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
Joke.
You don't know about Verdun or anything, do you?
It's a joke, Nemesis.
Wah.
If there's any French people out there, no offense.
A
Yeah,
joke? Or what?
Yeah. Here's a couple chats here.
Thank you.
Mikey says the inspector was hanging out in one of Paris's gentlemen's clubs. Well, gentlemen's clubs back then are way different than they are now. I'll tell you that then. Then Sean says he's in lurk mode. Everybody have a good night.
Cheers.
I bet you Data could read that chat real fast. Well, I'm not Data. Yeah, Sean's driving, so drive safe there, Sean.
Yeah, night, Sean.
Yes, be safe.
That's everything, pretty much.
All right. And of course, now is when my media player decides to lag.
Uh-oh.
Come on, move.
So one of the things that I have a little bit of a gripe with, which it's not much, but like they're using a white body bag to remove a crushed human body. There should be like it should be red. Like they should be like covered in blood.
Yeah, you would think so.
I would think so, but I mean, whatever.
Well, your body doesn't pump out blood once you're dead. All your so
That's how you establish time of death when lividity sets in, because your heart stops beating and your body, the blood pulls to the floor because of gravity.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The heart's going to still got to pump a few times.
Well, and then they're going to move the body and jostle it around. Like there's a big gaping hole in the top. Like something's coming out.
Yeah. Okay, just a sec here. Welcome, Basil. Welcome. Says, hey, what's up, gang? How's everyone this evening? I'm doing all
Hello.
right.
Yeah, doing okay.
Oops. Sorry.
There we go. I had to get caught up. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Suzanne's getting sleepy.
Yeah, Suzanne, if you pass out on us, you have a good night there.
Yes, Suzanne.
Keep typing as long as you can. I think your comments are going to get even funnier.
Yeah, good night, Suzanne.
Good night,
Stay
Suzanne.
with us, Suzanne. Keep typing. Stay with us.
So one of the things about this film is it's more a drama than it is like a horror or a science fiction. There are definitely horror elements to it, but I almost would classify this as more sci-fi than horror.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I would say it's got a sort of a mix of all three of those: drama, horror, and sci-fi. I was going to go. I thought the sci-fi element was actually quite interesting in this film. It was a lot more than I remembered from seeing it years ago, and I actually really enjoyed the sci-fi stuff.
I was going to go comedy musical, but yeah, I'll go with sci-fi.
And of course, this is almost a decade or around a decade before Star Trek's Transporters.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
Can you think of any reason why she would do such a thing? And he says, none, absolutely none. They were completely happy together. They have a wonderful little boy, Philippe, whom they both adore. Hélène was always so gentle, it just doesn't make sense, he says. Whoever did this to Andre, and he said he mentions the press reads too, that it went down twice, and he says they'd never done that as well.
Well, it's funny. We'll see a lot of inspirations for other movies from this movie, and we're gonna have to wait quite a while for the one scene I'm thinking of. But
yeah, and welcome to Trusty Ape.
Hi, Trusty.
Hello, Trusty Ape.
Good to see you, Trusty Ape.
Hello, Trusty. Oh, Trusty. No, it's not Trusty Ape. It's Trustee Ape. Oh, fascinating.
Right, Trustee Ape.
Trustee Ape. Yeah, not necessarily trustee. Are you a trustee? Anyway, moving on.
So this would have been like 6 years before they filmed this first Star Trek pilot, I'm thinking, somewhere around there.
9. Well, no, Star Trek was just getting in the,
wasn't it?
It's a little, first, well, I'll mention it lightly. I have a video on my channel, guys. Check out who the father of Star Trek was. But it's a little, I'll say, gray area on who actually came up with the idea of Star Trek. Yeah. And that happened around 1965, 66.
But the pilot was
58.
What? Wasn't the first pilot 64 or something, though?
I don't want to. I want to move on if we can.
Yeah, we're not talking about Star Trek here.
No. Go ahead.
So here's we have the inspector and Francois arrived at Helene's house, and it looks like the doctor's already there. Inspector, this is our family physician, Dr. Ajou. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Inspector Shadows, your man called me, so I came. Also, another thing, obviously, these guys you don't see is a doctor making house calls unless you're super rich, I guess. How is she? Well, quite calm now. The first thing I would ask if I was the detective saying, you haven't given her any sedative or anything, have you? But, oh well. And then the doctor says, almost in a state of euphoria, as a relief, as though she's happy about it.
Hmm.
And of course, he asks, "Is she insane, doctor?" He says it's impossible unless she is or was insane. So they use that. They use that back then. It's impossible unless. Here we go. We'll go to the next one. Did she tell you anything? Nothing except that she killed him. And how? No, there's nothing on her that could make her do that. And he says, "Why, Inspector? I've known her all my life. I even delivered her." And where is Madame Delambre? And she's in the living room. Francois, I'm sorry I called you. As you see, I could have called the police myself. I'm all right now. Everybody takes this totally calm. It's interesting.
It has like a real small town vibe to it.
I know, but it's strange how they treat her. It's almost like she's the mayor of the town or something.
Well, I
Hello,
mean,
my dear.
you look at the house, you look at who he is. Maybe she is someone of importance. I never.
And
They don't really establish.
They still do. They favor the rich over the poor. Even if it's a rich person, they treat him differently. We all know
Well,
that.
this is a small town. You got the small town courtesy. Everybody knows each other. She's not putting up a fight or anything, so they're not gonna sit there and throw her in handcuffs and throw her into a dark room and until they calm down.
Well,
Well, what she does at the weekend is her own business.
Well, even now, I doubt if it's any police policy to throw her anywhere or throw her in a dark room. But they would at least secure her so she cannot leave the scene, at a minimum. Okay, so he says, "Elaine, my dear, if there's anything I can do," and of course he's comforting her when she's the murderess. But like I said, it's interesting when you look at it through. I never thought about this when I saw this as a kid. I never. But now with today's day and age and the way people are treated, it's weird how time has changed, I guess.
Yep, that's for
It's
sure.
like, Inspector, I've just killed someone. Well, my dear, you clearly had a hot flush. You should sit there.
Right, you poor thing. Sit down. Would you like some tea? It's all right, Francois. Everything's all right now, she says. Madame, would you tell us what happened? Of course, monsieur. I killed my husband, Andre Delambre, about half an hour ago in the hydraulic press shed.
You better take 2 sugars of that tea, my dear.
I know exactly. Maybe lay down. You say you killed your husband, that means you murdered him. How are we doing on chats, Gorilla?
I was just about to ask on that here. The
Thank
Trusty
you.
Ape says the Fly is a classic. I enjoy the remake also. And Suzanne did say she's hanging in there as long as she can, but
Excellent.
Thank you, Suzanne.
So did he lose his soul when he got teleported? We'll find out when we get there.
Same question to Captain Kirk.
And Mikey says remake wasn't my all-time favorite.
Was or was not?
Was.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Basil
Sorry,
says,
I can't see the text. Go ahead.
And Basil says, yeehaw, Astros. Well, that's some baseball reference.
Astros 12.
The Rangers won. And Sean says, oh no, I just rear-ended a car. A midget got out and started yelling at me and screaming, I'm not happy. Well, which one is he?
Wait, I don't understand that.
It's an old joke there where a person rear-ends a car, the midget hops out and he goes, I'm not happy. Then the person goes, well, which one are you then? Of the 7 dwarfs?
No, jeez.
Okay.
It's a very old joke. So I yelled back at him and said, well, which one are you then? Said Sean. Yeah, Mikey says, too calm for my taste, LOL. And apparently Gap's laughing at that. Greg says, women were more protected at the time as well.
Yes. Well, even still now to a point they believe women over men. Anytime there's accusations that go back and forth, they always favor the woman. So things haven't changed completely.
Yeah, then.
Yep, Amber Heard.
Yep.
Well, no, they threw her under the bus, but that's a whole different story. But Suzanne said,
Huh? Okay. At the first time I heard somebody say that, okay.
"No, she lost the whole court case, and she has to pay him out
Yeah,
more than."
the point you're missing is that Johnny Depp lost his career. He got cancelled at the time on a false accusation with zero merit because her lies were believed. He totally got thrown off the J.K. Rowling
Right.
magical world of
yeah,
wizards.
right,
So now it turns out that in the court of law he was telling the truth and Heard was lying. But that's not going to get him his role back in Wizard,
Yeah.
whatever it was, volume 23, is it?
Yeah, but she has to pay reparations for that. So, and
Yeah, but the thing is, as a gorilla, when you say someone's thrown under the bus, that usually means they were the victim and they were innocent.
Yeah, that's usually how that goes.
Right.
Yeah, that was the whole issue.
The guilty
She
person
pledged
does
and
not get
donates
thrown under the bus.
anonymously.
They
They're
jump
not
off.
anonymous.
okay,
Right.
I had a bad phrase of term there. So
That's
It's all good, buddy.
Suzanne says she's a ginger's boy. That's trouble with the capital T, LOL.
Oh, yes.
And Sean says, I got my managers with that one, huh? All right.
And they're asking her why she killed her husband. She says, I cannot answer that question. How did you kill him? And she says, with a hydraulic press. And how do you
Standard.
operate it? And here, to Francois' surprise, she actually does explain how she operates the press. Detail by detail. First, you put on the main switch, then you set the stroke to whatever tonnage you want. You set the stroke to maximum, that is, level with the table, or zero. See, as you can see the surprise on his face.
Yeah. Vince's character doesn't look very happy here.
Right.
He's like, bitch, what the fudge?
Here in the details, yikes.
Yep. Then you press the release button, and it's the red one.
Yeah.
You mean you put your husband under that press, he says? And she says, no, Inspector, he did that himself. He put his head and his arm under the press.
So she was technically guilty of assisted suicide or something.
It's
then it
assisted
sounds like.
suicide, yes.
Yeah. But they don't see it like that, of course.
Oh, but I mean, basically, he begged her to do it because he didn't want to go on living like that, right? So,
Pretty much. And, of course, the inspector is totally confused, but he tells them to wait outside.
and now she's having tea.
Would you like some as well? Oh, yes, thank you, he says. And it's like, so from someone who just murdered somebody, I'll pass on the tea or the coffee.
It's very polite murder investigation, I must say.
It is, isn't it quaint?
Yes, it is. It
Now,
cleans the
madame, you
word.
were happy with your husband. There were
But
no
also, he
mistresses.
wasn't
I had no
completely her
lovers.
husband. It's more assisted suicide.
We were both very happy. So they do establish if there was any arguments going on, like they still do. That is the truth. Then why did you kill him? I wish to help you, but all I can, Inspector, but I cannot answer that question, she says.
You see, Inspector, I have no alibi.
Sorry, go ahead, Gorilla.
Oh, it's going to be quiet, so I was going to quickly read this real quick.
Go ahead, go for it.
Patricia Molly Owens, January 17th, 1925 to August 31st, 2000. She was a Canadian-born American actress working in Hollywood. She appeared in about 40 films and 10 television episodes from 43 to 68.
Very cool. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm going to take the opportunity to cover a little bit of trivia about this movie. Sometimes we don't get time to do that. This film became the biggest box office hit of director Kurt Neumann's career, but he never knew it or even found out about it. He died 1 month after the film's premiere and only 1 week before it went into general release.
Ouch.
Part of the laboratory set used in this film was Emirac, the computer from Fox's production, also used in the movie Death Set, 1957. Although many people who saw the film swear it was made in black and white, it never was. This may be an example of the Mandela effect, which is simply a name for a collective false memory among people which never really happened, yet everyone remembers. It is
I
extremely
swear
common.
it was black and white. Sorry,
Yeah,
Pop. Didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Well, no, it's fine. And I saw it in black. I thought it was in black and white originally too, because I saw it on black and white television. That's all we had for many years.
Yeah, when I was a kid, everything was in black and white unless you went to the theater.
Yep. The Fly. It is extremely common that everyone remembers this. The Fly 1958 was only ever filmed and shown in color. However, its two sequels, Return of the Fly of 1959 and Curse of the Fly in 1965, were made in black and white. This is likely where the confusion comes from, or people might have watched it on black and white televisions, which were common up to the 1980s.
Oh, it's
David?
interesting. The sequels were made in black and white, Pop. It seems a bit strange, but I guess they were trying to save on budget, perhaps. Or
Well, the studios are still that way. They spend less and less. Even though the movies are
Yeah.
successful, they were very notorious. That's what they did in the Planet of the Apes movies. They kept spending less and less and
Yeah.
less.
Yeah, it does seem a bit strange, but oh well.
It's bullish. My VLC player. This player is a pain. Bear with me, guys.
It's like any other technology. It's a benefit or a hazard. If it's a benefit, it's not my problem.
It's because of the movies that I'm playing are on an external hard drive, and that external hard drive is undergoing some work right now. I was hoping to have it done by the time that the stream started, but unfortunately, it's not. So I'll get caught up really quick here.
Yeah,
Another reason why I want to try to keep.
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just saying, Oilers said that was good information from like Patricia Owens comment.
Cool.
Yeah, it was nice to know that. Yeah.
So, thing froze up on us.
Oh, I got it here. I was afraid this was going to happen. What a pain. And this hard drive is not that old, so I know it can't be the hard drive. And see, I don't want to advance it, and now I'm moving the timeline of the video player, and it's not changing.
Jeez,
Ah,
that is a pain.
Frustrating for sure, but we'll get it sorted.
Have you tried turning it on and off again? Oh, screwed up the line. Places, please.
come on, player.
And Mikey says CIA agent Felix Leader is 2 James
Right.
Bond films, Live and Let Die, and License to
Live
Kill.
and let die.
Live and let die at the Apollo.
Equals Albert David Hedison Jr. Full name. He died July 19th, 2000 or July 18th, 2019.
See if that
Actually,
helps.
they were going to call it license revoked, but they were worried the audience might think it's his driving license. True story. He's got
There
a
we go.
license to drive heavy goods vehicles.
Go back here. Sorry, the repair that I was doing on the hard drive, I paused it until the stream is over, and I'm hoping that it doesn't decide to jack itself. The reason why I'm working on it in the first place is I would be watching stuff and then suddenly it would just disconnect. So here's where they're saying that they're going to arrange for nurses to keep an eye on her. Of course, no security, and his doctor says you can rely on me. And here's where Francois and the inspector check out the lab down below. Oh, and I wanted to mention this too.
Yeah. Hey, when he said it was $200,000 worth of equipment, I was like, hey, that ain't jack crap. Most of our machines costed us way more than that. They're like, oh, wait, this is 1958.
Yeah, so you can.
Yeah, this is
quadruple
old time
that.
money, dude.
Double or quadruple it. So apparently, what I wanted to point out here is you notice that the entrance to the lab is a sliding metal door. And when
Right.
David Cronenberg did the remake in 1985, he wanted to keep that. He liked it. So if you watch the remake with Jeff Goldblum, and also with The Fly 2 with Eric Stoltz, you'll see that both labs had sliding metal doors.
Hey,
This is the
guys.
work. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I had a slight miscalculation for the 1958 one. It would have been $5.1 million in today's money But if I'm going to do the calculation here, 200,000. Oh, I need a marker.
I knew those numbers were off.
Yeah, I did for 1980, but anyhow,
You had
200,000.
one job.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I gave you one job, calculator.
Fire my ass, though. that equipment today is worth approximately $2 million. Otherwise, $2,090,119.72.
The value of the equipment. So the value of the equipment in the laboratory, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds a little more believable.
So here's where Francois points out. He says this is the work of a madman. So basically, a lot of the machinery and equipment has been destroyed, which was also a trope back in the day.
Oh, yes. Yes, exactly.
Andre was always so careful of everything. I don't know if it could have been anything, any one of a dozen ideas. So he's asking the brother, what was he working on? And Andre kept a secret, so the brother doesn't really know at all.
He's funding stuff that he doesn't even know what he's paying for.
Right, and here's where he explains it. When he would develop something, he basically wouldn't show it until it was ready to be shown. And then they will kind of hint at that later on. And he's working on an idea for the air ministry. He says, perhaps they'd know. And they walk into the second part of the lab. And the inspector notes that I imagine electronics is a profitable field these days. And here's where he explains that he owns the business jointly with Andre. We both have more money than we know what to do with, he says. They had no outside. Can you imagine being able to say that? I have more money than I know what to do with.
That's probably why they're treating the wife so kindly.
Of course. Money buys everything, right?
Sounds like we need Robin.
Buy me love. No, everybody tells me so.
It certainly helps, that's for sure.
So the inspector asks him if he could have been working on anything else, and he says no, they had no outside interest. Not, I'm sure of it.
PvP. I'll buy you diamond rings, my friend, if it makes you feel all right.
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
That was a good response.
Get an estimate. That's what I say. Get them estimated.
I want to make sure get them approved and see if they're actually real diamond.
PvP. I don't care too much for money. Money can't buy me love.
Oh, there you go.
You're very attached to both of them, aren't you? Says the inspector. Yes, Inspector. What does all this mean? And he says, I have no idea. She would tell me nothing except that she killed him. There appears to be no motive, no reason except insanity. And even that leaves several important questions unanswered. Perhaps he committed suicide, they wonder. Well, if he did, why does she say she killed him?
Guilt.
And if it was suicide, why is it such a clumsy method? And why involve your wife, which is true? She could hang for this.
I think.
This is back in the. Go ahead.
Well, just the comment. Why did they use that method, right? Basically, I think Andre didn't want them to find him. I mean, they could have just shot him in the head or something, but obviously he wanted the evidence, so to speak, destroyed because he was probably perhaps fearful for what they would think of his experiments, right?
They'll cover that later in the movie.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, but
okay,
yeah.
I'm done. I'm good.
Or Philippe, he says, he's talking about the son. What will I tell him? How does one tell a child?
All right.
If I may suggest, you could look after the boy for a while, he says. And he says, what's going to happen to her? Well, we'll keep her under observation for the moment, he says. Did your brother ever experiment with animals? He asks. And he says, oh, or insects? Insects? And he chuckles and says, no. No, Helene and Andre believed in the sacredness of life. It would never hurt anything, not even a fly.
Oh,
nice bit of irony there.
Yep. And here we are, her waking up to a bright, beautiful morning, not in a prison cell.
Damn, look at that bed. Jeez.
Are you feeling better after that murder, miss? Oh, yes, quite better.
Right. Here, let me check your pulse to make sure you're not having too much of an anxiety attack. God, they don't even check pulses like that anymore. And she asked the nurse, "Can I get it today?" And she says no. And she said, "Every time I ask him, he says tomorrow." "You're coming along nicely. The rest will do you good." Yeah, she needs all that rest from all that murdering. "Is Inspector Shiraz coming today?" "He did not say, madame." "I like him. He's been very gentle," she says. "I hope Francois brings that nice little boy today." And she said, "What little boy?" She says, "Philippe." And she says, "Yes, Philippe." And the nurse is taken aback and not really sure what to say. And she says, "They think I'm mad, don't they?" And here's where there's a buzzing sound and there's a fly in the room and she's following it with her eyes.
Mm.
And the nurse is trying to shoo the fly away.
Ignoring her the whole time.
Right, when
Pops,
she
I
told
don't
the
know how you
nurse.
do it. I've literally got a fly in the room. This is so weird.
Right, and of course, as understandable, the nurse doesn't understand what the fascination is with the fly. "Does it bother you?" No, it isn't bothering me," she says. And she wants to get a close look at it. "I'll soon rid you of the pest," says the nurse. "It's all right, Nurse Anderson. Please leave it alone." And the nurse goes about trying to swat it. "Stop it, nurse, stop it," she screams. "Of course, thank you very much, Inspector. You can rely on me." "Right. Well, what do
The
you
thing is,
think?"
well,
Go
it
ahead,
doesn't really
GDP.
matter. Does it really matter if the fly does get swatted at this point? It's kind of a bit too late anyway, right? So
"Would you show me
anyway,
your brother's laboratory?" "Well, we already did. Did I miss that part?" "I don't know how. I apologize, guys, how I skipped back to that, but there we go."
hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how to jump back. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's definitely something going on with the media player.
There we go. The nurse swatted them, they go back. And the nurse does swat the fly, and it falls to the ground, which is just too much for her to handle, and she runs. And the nurse, of course, is trying to calm her down. "Get out of my way." Where is it? Where? And she looks at the fly and starts sobbing. "And come on, madame, back to her bed," where she cries and cries. And the nurse picks up the fly, takes a look at it, and is confused. And there's the housefly that the doctor has in a little plastic bag, and he says just a common housefly. Perhaps it's symbolic or something, keeping her subconscious. The psychiatrist believes Mr. Delambre. Do you think she's mad? In spite of what the doctors think, I believe Mrs. Delambre's mind is quite clear. Even when catching flies, how can you say that? She must be mad. What about Philippe? She acts as if the boy were mine and not hers. She may be trying to protect him, he says. Perhaps she fears him or even hates him. That's impossible. Blaine couldn't hate anyone. You must be out of your mind. And this is where he'd say, well, she's the crazy one, not me, but oh well. And he asks him, "You're in love with her, aren't you?" And he says, "Yes." And he says, "Well, then why didn't you marry her?" And he says,
Because I want to stay in love with her.
"Right. Because she loved Andre," is what he said. We couldn't. Well, obviously, we have to skip every few seconds on the slides. But when he asked why Francois didn't marry her, it's because she loved Andre, his brother. And the inspector says, "I'm glad you're being honest with me. See, at first I suspected you. Me, why should I do such a thing?" he says.
Wow.
"Well, motive one, first for his wife. Motive two, to gain control of Delambre Electronics.
Hmm.
What do I care about motives? Elena's in trouble and Andre's dead. It's like a nightmare. I know now you had nothing to do with it, but I had to check for her sake." And that would be a common question they would ask in suspicion. "I know now you had nothing to do with it, but I had to check up for her sake." There it is. Sorry about that. "I'm sorry, Inspector. I'm a fool," says Francois. "I understand, Monsieur," says the inspector. I who should apologize. I have to pry into all sorts of personal things. It's necessary, unfortunately. Thank you for coming. If there's anything else I can do to help, let me know. I will. Did you discover what your brother was working on? And he says, no, the Air Ministry scientists have been through all of his papers, everything. And we couldn't decipher the ashes. Nothing there either, he says. Which he'll explain later. Well, I've delayed all I can. We've been quite patient with the lady. I'm afraid I shall have to ask for a warrant tomorrow. Courts can decide, and he says tomorrow. Charge shall only be murder. I'm sorry for you and the boy, but I cannot conceive of any verdict except guilty. Or guilty but insane. Or guilty by reason of insanity is what they call it now.
Can we catch up on chats real quick?
Yes, thank you, Gorilla.
Mike said, thank you, Gorilla, for showing the background, Phil. No problem. And Oiler said, like and subscribe to a random account. You might like it. He said, very specific but inaccurate.
Boom.
Mike said that was close enough. No, I was completely wrong. I was off by 3 million. Oiler Greg said, prove you're not a fly-human hybrid by liking and subscribing to your choice.
Nice.
And Mikey said the electronics and harmonic frequencies mostly created the device. Cue the end credits, LOL. Not even a fly. Swatter. All right, we're all caught up.
Thank you, Gorilla.
Yep.
And Francois is enjoying dinner. Thank you, Yvette. And there's their son. Our first look at him. Yes, Philippe. I have mixed thoughts on this. What do you guys think? So the boy asks, when's Daddy coming home? And he says, soon. Do you guys think that's right to keep lying to the boy?
Well, why traumatize the kid when... Oh, wait.
How long are you going to keep it on? How long are you going to keep it? Because think about it. The longer
Until he's 21 and he can cope with it.
the longer you wait, the more that kid's going to hate you for not telling the truth.
Well,
How do you tell the truth that, hey, dude, your mom like crushed your dad in a fucking hydraulic press?
No, I'm not talking about that. That's not how you talk
go
to
out
a
and buy
child.
the kids some ice cream.
No, that's not how you talk to a child. What I'm talking about is you respect their mentality for their age. So you could say something like Daddy's dead or Daddy passed on. But of course, you're not going to go into the gruesome details of what happened.
No, I know. No, I don't know. It's really hard, right? Like, they're all in shock, too. I think they're just trying to protect him for now.
I'm just saying it's a dangerous curve because that child could end up growing and resenting the fact that they weren't told from the beginning. A lot of adopted kids that end up that way. They find out when they're much older and they get really pissed and they leave their adopted parents.
Well, how does he feel about the Tooth Fairy and Santa?
Judging by his age, he probably still believes in them.
Right.
Well,
there
once
you go
again,
then.
it's
So
like...
you're lying to him about Santa, but you want to tell him that his father's been crushed in some kind of press like a flower by his mom?
Oh, I
you're
know.
still lying about the Tooth Fairy?
If it would have been me, I would have been upset if they lied to me. Because
your mum crushed your dad, but the Tooth Fairy exists. Have a good time, Timmy.
Once again, it's the 50s too, right? Like, it's children were more protected back there. They were trying to protect innocence. Like,
right. And you still want them to maintain their childhood. So there's a tactic way to do it to explain that Daddy's gone, and you don't have to blurt out, oh, by the way, there's no Santa, no Tooth Fairy, all that shit's wrong, and now your life's forever ruined. You know, you can't say all that stuff. But there's
no.
I think you got to be honest with the kid without telling them everything.
100%. You could have just been like, Dad had an accident or something like that, right? Like, you didn't have to. Right. It's personal choice at this point, basically.
Yeah, but I would respect the kid enough to say, you know, Dad passed away, and when the kid says how, I would say we'll talk about that later. I would do it that way.
That's a very good way of doing it, Pop.
But then you get how much later?
No, because then later it means one thing. So I wouldn't have the kid going back and forth with me arguing on what the word later means. Sorry, I'm a retired teacher. I don't let the kids, you can't let them win the argument. You're smarter than they are. We all know that you're smarter than the kid. We all know that you have more experience than that kid does. So when the kid starts bickering back and forth, don't let them win. Just say, I said later. And when I say later, I'll let you know when I'm ready to tell you. Simple as that.
Cool. Anyways, so we should
Yes.
carry on.
So Francois tells the kid, when the kid asks, when will I see Daddy? He says, soon. And he says, can I see Mommy again tomorrow? And he says, yes. And then the boy asks, she's very sick, isn't she? And he says, yes.
See, the kid's smarter than he lets on.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I wouldn't disrespect him by treating him like he's adult. Not an adult, A-D-U-L-T, but I'm talking about D-O-L-T.
A simpleton, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want somebody doing that to me if I was a child. I'd want to know the truth. Anyway, the kid asks him.
If he gets a tooth knocked out, he's making another $10. He's happy.
Do flies live long? Do flies live a long time, says Pierre. And he says, I don't know why. He says, because I saw that fly that Mommy was looking for again. And Francois says, I didn't know your mother was looking for one. And he says, oh yes, she was. It's grown quite a lot. But I recognize it all right. I'm glad we're getting most of the subtitles here.
Yes, this is a very dialogue-heavy movie. If you guys haven't seen this movie, please check it out. It's very character-driven. It's very actor-driven.
And they're explaining a lot of what's going to happen later in case people are scratching their heads. Why are they doing this? They're explaining it now. So, yeah, it's not wasted dialogue. Like people talking in hallways like on the CW. So what they're talking about does relate to the plot.
It does.
Yes.
It does roll the facts out slowly in an interesting way, I thought.
I thought about that too. This is almost like a murder investigation movie, kind of like watching Columbo or something.
Yeah, it's like a procedural type of drama. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Except the inspector is actually Vincent Price's character rather than the inspector in the movie, because Vincent Price is the one that eventually puts all the pieces together.
Yeah. Well, Vincent's such a good actor. Jeez, I could watch him all day long in practically anything, to be honest.
Yep. Same here. And Francois says, "This is Uncle Francois." Says, "This is good. How did you recognize it?" And he said, "Its head is white instead of black, and it has a funny sort of leg," which gets Uncle Francois' attention. He says, "It was on your desk." He said, "Really?" He says, "Yes, it was on your desk this morning." And he says, "Oh, I didn't notice it. When did you first see that fly?" And he said, the day Daddy went away. I had caught it, but Mommy made me let it go. And later she wanted me to find it again," he said. "She changed her mind. You know how women are."
Hey-o.
No offense to women out there. This is an older movie.
Well, exactly, 100%. This is the 50s mentality, 100%. Even the little kid has been raised this way.
Yeah.
And as we all know, men change their minds just as practically, and you never know, unpredictably so. "I won't be a moment," he says, and he steps out, of course.
Oh, my God. Oh.
That's a bit vague, isn't it? You know how women are. No, I don't know. How are women? Why don't you tell
me about it. Tell me all about it. I mean, when I was a teacher, I had the teachers, they kept coming up to me and saying, we need to read the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. I said, "No, thanks." I said, "No, that's all right. I know where men are from and women are from. I don't need a book to tell me or somebody's opinion."
Yeah, from what I read about that book, and I didn't read much of reviews, but it sounded like a pretty silly book anyway, to be honest. Pretty stereotypical.
Feminist propaganda.
Yeah, stereotypical stuff. Yeah.
All right. Should we catch about chat real quick?
Yes, thank you, Gorilla.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
Because that's a good song, Captain Affinity. And Basil here says the dragon has some great video coming out soon. I had a pleasure of attending my cousin's birthday bash recently. Wow, what a party. Greg says, if you transport successfully, you could theoretically be possessed by a demon because you have no soul.
That's all of Star Trek. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
And Basil says, what's special about birthday? Stay tuned, y'all. I should have it loaded Friday. Okay. And
Wait, go back to that one. What's so special about a birthday party? Stay tuned. I should have it loaded by Friday. So is it your birthday, Basil? If so, let us know, and you can have a birthday stream or something. Go ahead, Gil. Sorry.
Is his cousins.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah. And Basil says, yes, OG. Be very careful when transporting Democrats live in the great spear of destiny. Okay. Mikey says, Charles Herbert Saperstein, known as Charles Herbert, American child actor of the 1950s and 60s. Born December 23rd, 1948, Culver City, California. Died October 31st, 2015 in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he was a pretty prolific actor at the time. He's in a lot of movies.
Charles Herbert equals Felipe.
But not as an adult actor. He was mostly known as a child actor.
Okay, Ola Greg says, I will bring one. Like a strip club, Democrats are easily distracted by money. Okay. And Suzanne says, I love this movie growing up, still do. Cool.
It is a classic, I agree.
Mikey says, Earth Girls are easy. Also start Goldblum, LOL.
Yeah, I guess.
And then Basil says, no, it's my cousins.
Okay, very cool. Thank you, Basil.
You're all caught up.
So here's where Philippe picks up the phone to call the inspector, but changes his mind and decides. In fact, he asked for the inspector to shut us. Then he hangs it up and he decides to go talk to Helen himself. Good evening, nurse. Why, Mr. Delambre. Inspector Charas told me about her relapse. How is she now? And the inspector told me that I might speak to her for a few moments alone. And she's suspicious because she heard no such word from the inspector. And Francois says he knows I'm here. And she says, but he didn't say you were coming. Well, he has so much on his mind, I won't be long. And he knocks on the door. She says, Francois, I didn't hear you. Of course, she says, are you tired? He says, of course, just the opposite, you know. You shouldn't work so hard. How are you? I'm fine. I feel all right. Well, I'm glad you came. I wanted to ask you something. Of course, Elaine, anything at all, he says. So he sits beside her, and she asks, how long do flies live? And he says, oh, I don't know. I think a month, 2 months. The fly you were looking for was in my study today, he says. And she's surprised that he knows. Did you kill it? No, he says. You have it with you, she asks. Give it to me. Please give it to me. I haven't got it here, he said. You know now what this is all about? Yes, I have it. It's locked up on in my desk. Tell me what happened, he says. No, never. Andre wouldn't want me to. I know you're not mad. I want the truth, he says. Did you tell me or I'm going to give it to Charas? And they all know what that means. If I tell you, will you promise to destroy it, she says. I can't do that until I know. Then I can't tell you anything. For your own sake, you've got to tell me. As soon as they examine it, they'll know you're not insane. And she still doesn't want that. For Philippe's sake, Francois, I beg you. And now this is, I want to mention this, highlight this. This is why she was pretending to be mad for Philippe's sake. So earlier, she acted like she had forgotten who the boy was. That was part of her act of trying to act insane, which I guess wasn't very effective. Don't you see I was pretending to be mad for Philippe's sake, she says. He should be she doesn't want him to know rather than he should be the son of a woman hanged for murder. And he says, "Either you tell me now, or I'll give the fly to Shiraz. If I tell you, will you tell them? I only want to help you," he says. I can only do that through them. Yes, I would tell them. Poor Francois. And then she tells him to call the inspector because she can't tell the story twice. So long as you kill the fly, she makes a promise, and he says, "You promise?" And he says, "Yes." We all know he really doesn't have the fly. He just did that to get the truth out of her.
Mm.
And of course, we still have rotary phones at the time. I'm sure some of us remember those.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I used one once. My grandma had one, but it's so funny. There, people nowadays don't know how to use them. It's so entertaining watching them try to figure out how to use them.
Yeah.
But if all the power goes out, they still work. They're the only thing in the house that'll work.
Yeah, it's still a bit hard to believe how people don't know how to dial a phone number.
Well, yeah, it's so entertaining watching them. And people were offering $100 if you dial a number on this phone.
Yeah, I saw a video on here once on YouTube, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. They are funny. I shared one once on one of my streams.
That might have been the one I saw, actually. I can't remember now. But
So here's where she begins telling them the story of what happened. So she has Francois and the inspector. "I simply carried out his last wish," she says. "A few months ago, it all started when, as usual, we get our cloudy and our blurring and all that kind of stuff. And time passages. And here she is playing with Pierre. And we finally get the introduction of David Hedison, the star of the movie.
Yeah.
Approximately 28 minutes into the movie. So the movie is like a third of the way through. And we finally get introduced to the star of the movie.
I would argue that he's the star of the movie, but
I know. I thought about that too. Every time I saw this, I always thought it was Vincent Price.
Yeah, it seems like Vincent's the central character, really.
Well, Vincent and his wife are the central characters to me of this movie.
Yeah, because that's where we learn all about, sets everything up, right? The first 28 minutes. So,
yeah.
I'm guessing what happened probably is that's how they lured him into the role. A lot of actors wouldn't want. Because like I said earlier, Michael Rennie turned it down that we know of. We don't know who else turned down the role. David Hedison was still up and coming, so he was probably did that in exchange for having his name headline. Is what I'm guessing.
Could be.
Well, I mean, and you got to think about it. Like half the time, he's only physically acting, right? Like because he's got we'll see later on.
Right. We'll just say we get very little of his actual face.
Yeah, that's why I wondered if it even was actually him. But anyway, I won't say anymore.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there when we get to a PvP.
Exactly. Yep.
That would have been one question, but I'm sure somebody had asked him at some point in an interview. He did do interviews after the movie, but I don't know if somebody asked him that specific question. And he's going to play with Dandelo the cat. And as you can see, come on, I've got to show you something. He wants to take his wife down to the lab. And this is what I mentioned earlier. I think that's why they have the fake white frost coloring on his sideburns, trying to make him look a little older than he is.
That
was such an old tactic back then, was using the frost in the hair.
Yeah, a little bit of gray.
Here's where we have the lab intact before it was destroyed, like we saw later. And all the 50s gizmos and whatchamacallits. Look, he's even got rolls of different color wire there. How fascinating.
Very cool set.
I had no idea you'd made so many changes, she says. It's a completely new line of research. Let me guess, not the portable reactor. And he said, "No, I'll show you. There must be absolutely no mention of this to anybody. Of course, it's much too important." And he says, "You're the first person to see this miracle." And he closes the door to the other side of the office. And he shows us this plate. "Remember this? Oh, of course. Our wedding present from my devoted and very rich Aunt Bess. The family heirloom," he says. They turn it over and it says made from Japan. You guys remember that too, where everything was made in Japan and not China, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, yeah, Japan was a powerhouse of the production on goods after the war. After it was rebuilt.
Right now, it's everything's China. Everything's China, China on everything.
You
It's
know,
like it's switched.
the one thing about Japanese goods, though, is actually a lot of them are quite well made. Because I
They're
remember
all, yeah.
transistor
look at
radios and
Yeah, TVs.
Tin toys, robot toys and
Yep.
Guitars. The guitar
Yeah.
market from Japan is really crazy right now. But yeah.
yeah.
Should we catch up on chat real quick?
No. Yes, of course.
You got me there. Well, nothing without the chat.
All right. Mikey says I could hear the conversation now. Hello, Franchos. By the way, my husband turned into a fly. Oh my god, too funny. So that says I still have one. My boy loves it. Cool. And Carter, or maybe Pop can explain.
She's talking about the rotary phone.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
maybe you can explain this one from Sean. He said my grandparents had them, and I hated people who had a 0 in their number.
Well, yeah, because the 0 takes the longest. There was 10 circles that you had to stick your finger in.
Yeah.
And they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 was the very last one. So if you had to go to 0, and you had the dial all the way to 0, it's your tick, 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 tick. The dial had to click back, and it took the longest. So you wanted everyone's numbers to be like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, okay. And he says
Whatever that means.
Yeah. Mikey says flashbacks are so blinding, LOL. Right, panel? And Susan said David Hedison,
creative.
IMHO played the best Felix Leiter in all twists. Okay.
Was that a recurring character, I guess? Different actors, I'm guessing, from what Mikey's saying?
Maybe.
Okay, here we go. Now he's showing her he has a glass booth, and he places that saucer, that little dish that he had inside the booth. And as the subtitles say, the machine starts whirring and everything. There's a bunch of clicking and noise. This is when computers made a lot of noise, by the way. They practically had to put earphones on. Whirring intensifies. We even have gauges to show that it's state-of-the-art. And he tells her to put on the goggles. And notice those are the same goggles that we had in the movie Them.
Yeah. Are those just like old older?
Yes, kind of like similar to a welder's mask. Yes. Now watch the box. And the countdown. And look how futuristic. We even get neon lights.
Very cool.
Very 50s.
Yeah, I love it. Actually, the special effects were pretty great in this movie.
Yep. Loud static, and we get the bright light, and it disappears. And he tells you can take off your goggles off now, darling. Did you notice that the plate is no longer there? On, she says. Come on, he says. He goes to open the other door. And before that, I got a little trivia I wanted to share about that specific scene. Oops. Oh, come on. Next. The sound made by the teleporter in this film is the same sound heard when the prototype disappears in the film The Time Machine. So it's like a whoop sound. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like a whoop kind of sound.
Cool.
And back to the movie. Here we go. And he opens the door to the other side of the lab. And there's the dish. And of course, she decided it's the same one. And he says, mm-hmm. And she asks, have you turned magician? And he says, in a way. For a split second, and here we get our 50s explanation. And for a split second, an infinitesimal part of a second, this was disintegrated. For one little moment, it no longer existed. Only atoms traveling through space at the speed of light. Then here, a moment later, integrated again into the shape of an ashtray. Oh, you're joking, she says. Doesn't sound possible, does it? He says, but it is true. It is impossible. You're playing some joke on me. Take television. Here we go with the explanation. This is such an old trope of these old 50s movies where the scientist explains like he's doing a monologue in front of a whole room full of people. Take television. What happens? A spring of electrons, sound, and picture impulses transmit from the TV camera is the disintegrator. Your set unscrambles or integrates the electronics back into pictures and sound. She says, but that's different. Yes, but she says, well, she says that doesn't make sense. She's still confused. And he says, yes, but this is different. And she says, why? And she says, well, because it's impossible. I'm sorry, guys, because we're skipping dialogue here. I'm probably reading the wrong person's dialogue.
It's okay. It just encourages people to actually go and watch the movie.
Yes, which I highly recommend. And she still doesn't quite believe it. That you actually did this. It's no trick, she says. And he says, I can transmit matter, anything at the speed of light perfectly. Of course, it's only a crude beginning. But I've been lucky enough to stumble on the most important discovery since when they cut the tree and found the wheel, is what he said. The disintegrator integrator is what he later on called transporter in Star Trek, but here it's the disintegrator integrator will completely change life as we know it. Think what it'll mean: food, anything. Even humans will go through one of these devices. No need for cars or railways or airplanes, even spaceships will set up matter. No need for cars or railways or we'll set up matter transmitting and receiving stations throughout the world, even later, and later the universe. And food surpluses can be sent instantaneously, almost at no cost anywhere.
Yeah. Now, I got a question for everybody here. Since we said it'll be able to transport humans and all that, would you actually get in there? Get in that thing? Transport?
No.
Not unless Gina Davis came in with me.
You know, I can already see DARPA wanting to get their hands on this just because of how efficiently we could transport troops across to the front lines there, or just do a surprise attack on someone. DARPA would love this technology.
So, Captain, if you got in with Gina, would that be a Captain Davis, Captain Gina? Because you got
Say
you
again,
have to remember,
over.
you have to remember, you have to come back. On the other side combined. So you're
Yeah,
that's
dude.
right. I wouldn't go in a teleporter either.
Okay.
I just want to say that the description of the technology that Hedison's character is describing, I thought it was pretty interesting for 1958. Like, the writer really, they thought through this stuff, and I mean, there's so much of it, that he mentions that does sound a lot like Trek. And I was even thinking that no need for spaceships bit kind of almost referred to Stargate. So very
Yep.
interesting scene, I thought.
Yep. I agree. Well, and I have to mention that basically what we're getting here is and the description of a transporter, but we do see it again before Star Trek. So Star Trek is far from being the first to come up. It was actually the third at least.
Okay.
And now she's happy for him. And she notices, I hope you don't transmit me. I wouldn't want to come out like this, she says. And he says, what do you mean? And she shows him the bottom of the dish. And the words are backwards. And he's confused and upset. And she says, well, it doesn't matter, does it, Andre? And he's pretty much not even answering. Now he's totally tuned out. And he goes to his notes and starts digging through them, trying to figure out where the mistake is. And she tries to get his attention and finds out it's not working. So she says goodnight and leaves. And here he goes back to his experiments and he's testing again. All those phone lines have to come to something, huh?
Oh, my. Wow.
Everything checks.
That
What's
must
that, Willa?
I'd hate to be the one that'd have to rewire that. Someone just goes a dick. And
I know. I used to have to work on those. When I worked for the schools, I used to have, because I used to wire up Ethernet in the classrooms. And that reminds me of where all of our switches and hubs were.
Yeah, that must have taken a few hours to set that set up for sure.
It was easier than a telephone. If anybody's seen the old telephone hookups, those were worse because the wires were a lot smaller. Sorry, go ahead, Gorilla.
He's saying hours? I'd say that'd take damn weeks to set that
Wow.
up.
I was being sarcastic, Gorilla.
Yeah.
Sarcastic here? No way.
It does help that everything's color coded. At least blue and
What,
red.
sarcasm?
In this case.
Still, can you imagine if you got one wire in the wrong, socket, and it's like you're scratching your head going, how come it's not working right?
Oh, in fact, I'm going to
Imagine
point that
being
out.
James
Thank
Bond.
you.
You've got a sarcastic person on the other side. No, you really want to cut the red wire, don't you, Mr.
Right,
Bond?
and I'll point that out too. That's a good point. What PvP said. This is also why there would be doors covering them, and you'd only open them when you're working on it, and you would close it so somebody walking by doesn't knock stuff loose.
Yeah, you'd also have to do some major dusting every once in a while too to keep all that stuff working, properly.
Well, that's
If
what the
they're
French
secure-
maids are for.
If they're secure, you don't have to worry about dust, and especially if
Okay.
there's doors on it.
Well, yeah, if it had doors, it'd be perfect.
And here he is at the receiving box, which I'll call it from now, transmit and receive, I guess. Look at that fancy state-of-the-art computer, huh? Real
Correct.
tapes and everything.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Even turn. Look at that. Whirring intensifies. He puts on his glasses. And we get the neon lights and the fancy noises, sound effects. And he goes and he checks. I guess we skipped it in the frames there, but he basically put a newspaper into the transmitter. And now he pulls out the receiver. And he's happy because everything seems to be fine. All the lettering's perfect. And here comes along little kitty Dandelo.
Uh-oh.
What's the matter? You hungry? He says. And the meowing continues. There we are. He gives the cat a dish of milk. And then he gets an idea. Unfortunately, the wrong idea, as you can see on his face.
Definitely.
For Dandelo. So he picks up the cat and he says, "You won't feel a thing, Dandelo. And tomorrow you'll be the most famous cat in the world."
Yeah. Now he's a true scientist testing his machine on animals. Now he's
Yes. Right.
You're not-
And that is true, yes, because I may still do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're not a true scientist until you test your stuff out on animals.
And I'm assuming another thing I noticed, which I didn't notice when I was a kid, but I guess if you're inside the transmitter, the light doesn't hurt you. But if you're on the outside, you better have those goggles on, I guess. So I don't know.
They're just a bit strange, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you would think if anything, they're temporarily blinded when you come out the other end, right?
Well, geez, I'm thinking,
Oh.
man, like that intense, like, wouldn't the cat be like freaking out? Like, geez.
Well, yeah.
Or maybe he doesn't care about the cat's eyes.
Well, you can't cover the cat's eyes or even if it's a person, for example, because you don't want the atoms from the glasses to meld with the body. It's got to be perfect. That's why in the remake he's naked, which made more sense.
I was going to say, because he was wearing clothes in the... Anyways, I'm getting too far ahead of myself again.
Well,
That's okay.
it was the 50s, so I guess he had to be clothed.
Well, and people wouldn't think about that. They would think about, because people would appear in display all the time with clothes, and people didn't think about it like we do these days. These days we're a little more skeptical, I guess.
Well, we've had decades and decades of this stuff anyway to mull over. So back in '58, I imagine general audiences going to see this. We're probably just amazed at the concepts being thrown around here, and they probably didn't even think about the clothes stuff, right? So yeah,
Correct. So apparently, for some reason, the cat did not show up on the other side, and he's startled and he's wondering and he's bewildered, but he hears the cat meowing.
that was really creepy, actually.
So we're assuming that the atoms, well, of course, the atoms aren't going to form enough for the cat to meow, but that's telling us, the audience, that cat's not coming back.
It is an ex-cat.
And here we get Kathleen Freeman. Hello, Francois. How nice to hear you. You're getting married? And he's, of course, she's teasing him. No, not yet. I think I like it this way. It's just that there's no hurry. Is Andre there? And she says, I've seen him about 2 hours in the last 2 weeks. He eats and sleeps in his lab. He won't talk or answer the telephone. And I don't want to hear one more word. I want I don't want to. I missed a text. There's Kathleen Freeman, dressed down, because she definitely did not look like that. She had bright red hair and a loud, boisterous voice, and she was funny. She was in many, many classics. She was even in one of the best characters in I think it was the third Naked Gun movie.
Yeah,
and her last,
I do remember her for sure. Yeah.
yeah, she played kind of like a Ma Fratelli character, like from the Goonies. But one of her last roles, one of her absolutely last roles, was Peggy Bundy's mother on Married with Children. Now they never showed her on camera. That was the whole mystique of Peggy's mother, but they always had her voice, and that was Kathleen Freeman right before she passed away. So, excuse me, Philippe's acting like a juvenile delinquent. Dandelo's disappeared. I've even got to go to Professor Auger's this evening alone. Just till he solves his problem, whatever it is, be patient. And she says, how you men stick together. Anything I can do? All right, Francois. I'll tell him if I see him. I got to run now, Francois. Goodbye. And just as he emerges from the lab, and you got to admit, she's being very subservient here. I mean, I don't know any woman who's going to put up with that, where he's down there for 2 weeks and not even talking to her.
Well, I imagine they've been, since they have that son, which is obviously, that's a few years since they got married, probably.
Right.
I imagine she's just, gotten used to, his dedicated career as a hardworking scientist, and she's probably gotten used to him just being absent for many, many days on end when he's really struggling, to come up with a solution to a problem in the lab. So,
right, that's what they're implying here, right?
Yeah,
she does accept it. And Henry apologized for the last couple of weeks because it wasn't there. I had a little setback, but it's all right now. Call Auger. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, and I'm sorry, and cancel out. We're going to celebrate by ourselves, he says. Francois just called about some special equipment. He's sending it now. Now, keep that in mind. That explains where he gets the equipment later on. Because notice the next time we see his lab, he's going to have different equipment.
Can we catch up on chat real quick?
Yes, thank you, Gorilla.
Yeah, Mikey said, yes, Pop, all the actors who played Felix, he's talking about in the 26 Bond films there. He said, Easter egg, if you read the background lights carefully, you'll see the letters XYZ as in chromosomes X and Y. I don't think that's what the X and Y Z
Which
meant.
background? Interesting.
You know when with the lights light up with the LED lights?
Oh, you mean the neon lights?
Yeah, the neon ones.
I didn't notice that.
And Suzanne says, hells, nope, she won't get in that thing. She says, oh no, the captain is going to come out with his own rack. And Mikey says, hello, Suzanne, good one. And now he's speaking gibberish, not sure, but made in Japan.
It's backwards.
Yeah, I know. I got it. I was making a joke. And Mikey says, that poor Dandelot. And Suzanne says, as a kid, my folks were in several motels, and we had an old-fashioned switchboard that you had to plug into the board to reach the room guests.
Oh,
that
yes.
was a wiring. Oh, yeah.
Quarter-inch phone plugs, yeah.
Yeah. Then Mikey says, extremely strange wiring. Dandelot looks like Blofeld's cat, too. Interesting thought. Freeman played the nun in both Blues Brothers films, too. Okay.
Yes. They called her the Penguin.
The Penguin.
Huh.
Don't you blaspheme it. Whenever I say that's who I'm quoting, don't you blaspheme in here. That's the Penguin.
Not the one from Batman, everybody.
I didn't even know they made a second Blues Brothers there. It sounds like... That
Wait a second. Like, she was in the second. She was still alive when they made the second one. That was a terrible movie. That was one with John Goodman. Ugh. Oh, better. Yeah, that one's better left forgotten.
We're all caught up.
So his mind has changed. He says, "Yes, I've got tickets for the ballet, and besides, that'll give an opportunity to show stock footage." Oh, wonderful! Now hurry. He tells her to get dressed. And here we are with some stock footage.
Amazing. Nice joke, Bob.
I'm going to cover that. Give me just a second, and I'll find it here.
Well, I guess it saved a little bit of money on the budget, so yeah, why not?
Well, anytime they could use it, yeah, definitely. The ballet footage seen in the film on the night Andre and Elena go to celebrate was originally shot as test footage when the CinemaScope process was still in development. The same footage also appears in several other 20th Century Fox films of the 1950s, among them An Affair to Remember from 1957, which had been released the previous year. So I want to cover that.
Yeah, and welcome Cody Guy. He's
Hello,
giving
Cody
us,
Guy.
welcome.
Welcome. Glad you could join us.
yeah, he's giving us the old waves there.
Hey, Cody guy.
Hello, Cody guy.
So they're supposed to be enjoying the ballet, but of course he's got his notes out. And I think, by the way, but if you notice, if you look at his hands, he does not have a marriage or wedding ring on his left hand, but he's got that ring on his right hand, on his wedding finger on the right hand. If you see that. And
Yes,
later on, when let's say he changes, he's still got that ring on the right hand. So they at least did think of that. But of course that does not necessarily mean that was the actor playing under the hood or not. But they did remember to keep that ring because it's his left hand is the one that's affected. I'll put it that way.
That's a good little detail, actually.
And he's writing notes, and his wife does not seem to be very happy. And she reminds him, "Honey, we're at the ballet now."
I love that. Love that look she's giving him, like daggers.
Right, and of course, and they hug, immediately blocking the sight of the man behind them, which is normally me. This is what happens to me every time I go to a damn public event. Watch the guy behind them.
Yeah, or there's some person that's like 6'5" or something sitting right in front.
Right, I went to a Star Trek convention, and just as they were getting ready to introduce DeForest Kelly, this dumb big fat guy with a cowboy hat sat right in front of me, and of course he lets his hat on indoors. I mean,
Oh,
why
Pops,
not,
that was you behind me. So sorry.
No, what's funny is they were getting ready to introduce DeForest Kelly. And not only that, but I had rented a video camera. This is the 80s. I had rented a video camera and I had a port pack. So I complained immediately to one of it was creation conventions. And I called one of the ushers over and I said, "I'm not paying here." First, I told the guy, politely, I said, "Can you please take off your hat?" And of course, he ignored me. So that's when I called one of the ushers. I said, "Look, we paid like $100. I mean, back then that was even a lot of money. We paid like $100 to get in here to this convention. I'm not going to sit here behind this pass with the big old cowboy hat." So they said, "Okay, we'll find space for you up front." And they put me up literally right up front on the floor at DeForest Kelly's shoes. His shoes were right in front of me. I could reach out and grab his foot.
That's great.
Right, and I heard the entire thing. I filmed it on my video camera, and that's where he read his poem, "The Big Bird of the Galaxy," which Jill and I shared. I'll recommend. She reads it out on her the very first stream that her and I did together on her channel.
Wow, lucky you.
Yes, I felt so. I'm glad the fat stupid guy sat in front of me.
It worked out.
Otherwise,
well.
I was like halfway in the audience, and he would have been like 150 feet away.
Yeah.
So yeah, they said, "We'll find room for you up front somewhere." It was literally right at DeForest Kelly's feet.
That's fabulous.
No bodyguards, no plexiglass.
Great.
Oh yeah, the nice ones there. Sometimes they'll just tell you, "Well, that's too fucking bad."
Well, then I would have went over and knocked the guy's hat off his head. I wasn't afraid. That's what I was about ready to do. In fact, that's what I told the usher guy, whatever it was called. I said, "If you don't do it, I'm going to do it."
Yeah, they probably didn't want to have a fist fight breaking out in the middle of the show, I guess. So yeah.
I guess not. Huh? Yeah, but the fact I still remember the guy wearing a big cowboy hat on indoors with people behind him. It's like,
It's pretty ignorant
can you
not
be
to
any
take
more
it
of an
off.
ass? Yeah, can you be more of an ass than that?
It's pretty ignorant. Yeah, I agree. Nice way to end a romantic evening in the lab.
Right. Well, the whole thing's leading to this because remember he showed her his experiment, but it had that flaw where the words were printed incorrectly on the bottom of the dish.
Right.
And now he's showing her that he fixed it. So he says, "We'll finish a delightful evening with reintegrated champagne. We'll finish." There we go.
Well, what kind of champagne was it?
Reintegrated.
Reintegrated.
I was thinking when I saw this scene, it's like, would reintegrated food and drink be safe to eat?
Well, they covered that in the 1985 version.
Okay, they did. I actually haven't seen that in years either, so I forget.
Right. Oh, and I want to, before I forget, I want to explain something too, which brings up what we were talking about on the panel and in the chat. Why most of us, even if they had invented this today, would not step into it, is because no matter what happens, even if science does advance, it has to destroy the original in order to create the duplicate. And the big doubt is, does our mind, does our sense, does our soul go with it? Because how can a machine transfer? That's the only thing we don't know.
Yeah,
So
you wouldn't be the original you anymore, would you? Really, technically.
No, you definitely would not be. Right, it definitely has to destroy the original.
You'd be a replicant.
Pretty much.
Why is a replicant the same as a transporter?
more to ponder, right?
Hang on, PvP, you don't care if someone's a replicant. You're beyond all that. So now the question is, you are different, but do I care? Oh, snap, double snap.
It depends.
I guess if you're Picard, nobody cares.
Exactly. It depends if the story.
I don't care that Picard's a robot. I just care that it's not Picard. There's two different things, Robert Mybernick. Pay attention.
Yeah, well, I only care if the story's really good and the acting's really good and it's worth watching. Otherwise, I can just not really worry about it too much.
We got any chats to catch up on there, Gorilla?
Yeah. Your Mikey said not the neon lights, the white background ones. Okay.
Okay.
And apparently Mikey loves the ballet. You're not going to see me going to one. Only got to see one opera in my lifetime. La Traviata.
La Traviata.
And apparently Suzanne loves the opera too. Yes. And Suzanne says, wedding ring on the right hand usually means spouse had died.
Maybe the writers were having a little in-joke with that.
Pop the white background lights on as the sheet showed the letters XYZ.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
And Suzanne said, sorry for the groggy type. No, it's perfectly fine. Suzanne, half the time people don't understand mine either.
You're typing fine, actually, Suzanne.
Yeah, no problem, Suzanne. Looks good.
All right. And then Mikey says in the 1986 film PvP, reintegration was extensively covered.
Okay. Well, we'll probably get to that film one of these months. That'll be something I look forward to.
Oh, yeah, yes, you can bet that. We'll definitely be covering that movie.
Yeah, it's probably one of Cronenberg's weirder films, I got to say. But I did enjoy it when I saw it years ago.
Yeah, Mikey says, in that film, Jeff Goldblum played Hedison's character. Yep. Cool. Suzanne, Captain Finity, there you go, something to think about.
That's cool. Just what I need, another science fiction idea to ponder for years and years. Weird. Yeah, and other Greg says, U.S. Army is launching the Replicator project. They are building swarms of drones.
Just what we need.
Won't surprise me. And Basil says, oh, yes, indeed. Good old rotary dial. Haha. It was great. And other Greg says SG-1 had replicators. I believe so. And that is all the chats.
And remember, everybody, if you enjoy what you've seen so far, what you've heard so far, consider hitting the like button. And if you haven't subbed to my channel, maybe give that a try. I've got a lot of stuff on there to share. And also check out some of the channels of these fellow panel members. You'll find hours and hours and hours of interesting material. So here's where he tells his wife, Helena, that they're going to have reintegrated champagne. And she says, will it be safe? And he says, will it be safe, pretty much safe? And he says exactly the same, bubble per bubble.
Now, how does he actually know that?
Well, apparently he's tested before.
He's probably actually sampled some that he's transported before just to make sure. Maybe he took a sip of it just as, or maybe he did a chemical analysis just to, make sure everything was balanced out correctly. I don't know.
Possible. And we get our machine whirring. Does this mean we're going to get our neon lights again, hopefully? Here we go, neon lights.
That's a very cool looking computer.
And the bottle appears on the other side. And he pulls it out, and she says, oh, it's cold, and the lettering on the label is correct. And it says, it'll stay that way until I show you something else, he says. And here we are with our second animal experiment. Does that satisfy you, Gorilla? As long as it's not a monkey?
It's a guinea pig.
And she says, no, Andre, don't. It might not work. I won't allow it, she says. And he says, it'll be all right.
Andre's obviously been working on his calculations for those weeks when he was away. And I'm wondering, how many other animals did he transport before he got it right?
Yeah, she's not going to ask him that.
No, but, well, it's 58 too, so of course you're not going to.
It'll be all right. And she says, Andre, please. And he proceeds to put the guinea pig in the first, so it's literally a guinea pig, in the transmitter. Put your goggles on, darling. She does. Whirring, and we get the usual shot of the machines. And we get our neon lights again. And it vaporizes and appears on the other side. It's astonishing. It works. And he says, I test ran it this morning. It's all right. And the guinea pig is squealing. You succeeded completely. It's unbelievable. We'll have to wait and see. I'll know for sure in a few weeks, he says. She says, I don't understand. He says, to see if it suffers from any ill effects. Oh, and if it's alive in, say, a month, then we'll pronounce the experiment successful. And she says, may I have a look after him? He says, it's still a her, but you can. For 1 whole month, she's mine, she says. Don't kill her with overfeeding, he says. It's a little frightening, isn't it? And he says, yes. The first lab experiment was disastrous. Dandelo. At least he's being honest there. And she's like, what?
She's horrified.
Andre, how could you? She disintegrated perfectly but never reappeared. I don't know why, even now. I redesigned the protecting device and now it's perfect, he says.
Yeah, he says she disintegrated perfectly, but I bet the cat would beg to differ.
Yeah, apparently it was integrated long enough to meow.
Exactly.
Which is for dramatic purposes only, of course, like I've seen before. And he says it, and she says, where? And he says, into space. A stream of cat atoms. Andre promised me one thing. No more experiments with animals. And he says, I promise, no more experiments with animals.
Oh, she's being way too nice about it.
He's keeping his promise. And
dude, I'd be fucking choked if someone hurt my cat like that. I'd be like, oh, you're going through the transporter next. Like,
well, there's always one possibility. Maybe she married into the money. Everybody thought about that?
Well, I mean, that's probably one reason she's so patient when he's away weeks on end doing his calculations. Because, you know, look at the house she lives in. Damn, you know.
Yep. It's frightening. It's like playing God.
You know, one
God
thing.
Gives us sorry, go ahead.
One thing I wondered about in this scene is like, okay, she's afraid he'll do more animal tests. It didn't come to her mind to tell him, don't you dare ever go in that damn machine.
Well, she doesn't even, she's not at that point. And she does trust him when he says he's not going to do any more animals.
Yeah, but
she's not going to give away the plot of the movie before they show it.
Well, that's true. I just thought, you know, maybe, I guess it just never entered her mind, basically.
Well, like I said, she hasn't thought of that on that kind of scale yet.
Righto.
She was surprised between the dish and the wine and the cat, or I mean the guinea pig.
No, right.
And he says God gives us intelligence to uncover the world wonders of nature.
The name's Bond, James Bond.
And of course, she says, Andre, I get so scared sometimes. Electronics, rockets, Earth satellites, supersonic flight. Oh, yeah, it's not so much who invents them, it's the fact that they exist, she says this. She's still a little fearful of technology.
Well, that was a main trope in 50s sci-fi, wasn't it?
Yep, satellites and all that stuff was new. This is right before the space age. Oh, it's not so much who invents them; it's the fact that they exist. She says.
It was around
But
the
you're
dawn,
not.
dawn of the space age, I think, 58.
But you're not frightened of TV or radio or X-rays or electricity, or that the Earth is round. No, but no offense to any flat earthers out there. No, but everything's going so fast. She says. I'm just not ready to take it all in. It's all so quick. Just do like Philippe does. Accept them as part of our normal life, he says. They're facts, wonderful facts. Which brings me back to the champagne.
That's quite a philosophical little sequence there.
Yeah, it's good writing. It's good
Yeah,
writing.
it is.
Unlike
Really
what you would find these days, yes.
Oh, very. That's one thing I like about this film. You know, as much fun as the horror, drama, sci-fi mix is, I think basically what makes the film work so well is the writing is very, very well written, very intelligent, very good dialogue, and the actors are quality actors that can pull it all off and make it believable, right? So
They're not
yeah,
cynical and they actually love each other.
exactly. Yeah, it's
Right.
a really, really well written film.
What I like about this scene here is she really seems to get excited when she hears that champagne pop.
Well, it's about time. You know, let's have a little bit of fun.
Right. Well, she's probably more happy to see him having fun, right?
Well, yeah, and she's probably happy to have her husband back for a few hours instead of him
Right.
locking himself in the lab weeks on end.
Yep. He's always so serious, or she rarely sees him at all. And they do a toast.
Hmm.
And we have her taking care of the guinea pig, and she's checking the calendar. You're the healthiest guinea pig in the whole world, she says. And he's out lounging in the sun.
Nice. That's a hell of a lounge.
Oh, it is.
Who lounges
Sorry.
out there with a sweater vest on and full pants on? If I'm out there, I'm gonna be in shorts there.
It could be the morning. It could be cool outside.
I'd still be tanning.
You'd be out there in a muscle shirt and shorts, right, Grilla?
Who says I'd have a shirt on?
Oh.
Heck, you the shorts are the people. Heck, let my legs get some sun there.
Yeah, you gotta take advantage of it while the summer's here, so you're not white and pasty all year round, right?
Yeah, because I gotta go out in the summertime so everybody can start calling me a Mexican by August.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, should we catch up on chats here?
Yep,
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Alrighty, so scroll back up. All right, Mikey says, "Careful, Suzanne. Infinity's head may explode by overthinking anything." Laughing my ass off.
That's pretty much the idea. I mean, if I don't give it at least 3 years of consideration, it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Then Suzanne says, "Mikey, he loves thinking about this stuff." And Euler Greg says, "Like and subscribe to avoid becoming a fly."
Yeah, no, that's the key point, by the way, Suzanne. Right, I actually enjoy having my mind blown, or indeed, I enjoy having my mind blown. I mean, you can even say it different. Anywho,
just not with a bullet, right?
yeah, I don't like my brains blown out. That's different.
That can be a little inconvenient sometimes.
Yeah,
it'd be hard to be pondering those mysteries of the universe with no brains after they got blown out. Yeah.
I mean, God knows a few YouTubers have tried it.
Like I said, it's laughing at Euler Greg there. And Euler Greg is giving us a kitty.
Meow.
Mikey said he murdered Dan a lot. He must be a dog lover. Well, the damn cat should have scratched him, and the damn cat wouldn't have gotten put in the machine. And Suzanne says, "What was that, Pop?"
That'll teach it, the cat.
Yeah. Suzanne says, "With my luck, it would come out the other side in multiples."
Uh-oh.
A fancy house feels sterile to me, not a home. Yeah. And Mikey says, "True, Suzanne," and then he gives a orange cat whistling. And Euler Greg says, "Definitely multiples." No! Then a bunch of cats. He goes, "Hello, it's my boy's cat, and it loves and bugs me. I'm not a fan of the cat. It terrorizes my boy, Ella. He loves it, only it drives me nuts."
Time to get a new cat.
And Mikey said, "Gorilla would be in his skivvies if it didn't get him arrested, lol. Oh, heck, I've been out in the backyard of my skivvies there, especially when I had to strip out my pants when they caught on fire, but that's a whole different story for a whole
Well,
nother time.
instead, everybody was laughing, right?
Yeah, hey, at least the neighbor girl started talking to me more, but that's a whole different song.
Right.
Alrighty, so here is. Oh, and Suzanne says, not a cat lover. Alright, we're all caught up.
Okay. I wanted to share information here about this scene here. The scene in the film between Andre and Elaine in the garden had to be redubbed because the birds in it were singing too loud. In the audio commentary for the DVD release of the film, David Hedison admitted that as an actor, he hated dubbing and put little effort into it, noting that he sounds flat in this scene. He had rushed through it just so he could get to a flight on time. So if you watch this movie, you will notice that he does sound different and that the voices are dubbed over.
He phoned it in.
Yes, he
He
actually
went full Harrison Ford.
And here's where he's talking about looking at God. And where, like I said, he looks even more obvious, like he's... The role, I think, was written for an older actor, but, you know...
I mean, seriously, though, who goes and lies outside like this with a tie? This is pretty funny, actually.
Well, this was the 50s.
It's great. I'm just thinking he's such a geeky scientist that he doesn't even think to put like on a pair of shorts and like, you know, relax, right? Like really relax. It's pretty funny.
Well, remember, people used to dress differently in the 50s than we do now.
Oh, yeah. Even the 60s, it was a little more formal. I mean, that's when things started changing, though, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It's way different looking at the way my neighbor dresses versus when I'm dressing. Even in the summertime, he'll have the checkered button-up shirt there with some jeans on.
At least he's covering up most of everything, so that's good.
Yeah, me versus me, I'm in basketball shorts and a t-shirt half the time, if I have a shirt on.
And here's where Francois is invited for lunch. And he arrives and he says, what's all the celebration about? I'm only coming for lunch. And Andre wants to show you something in the lab. So this is the point where Andre does want to show Francois what he's been working on now that he's perfected it.
Oh.
How is he? It's better. No more questions. Come on, she says. So she directs him down to the lab, but unfortunately the door is closed and locked with a sign out front. Oh dear, we won't see him for lunch. I see what you mean. He's writing, it's worse and worse. Now, he says that's a joke, but we realize later on why his handwriting is getting worse and worse. And now we have Philippe come in.
Yeah, he should have waited, maybe, done that after lunch.
We probably wanted to experiment one last time before he showed his brother.
Oh, jeez.
And Philippe says, he calls the mother, I've got something to show you. I have something to show you. This is what the boy mentioned earlier in the movie.
Yep.
I caught such a funny looking fly. You want to see it? And she doesn't understand yet, so let it go. You know your father. He disapproves of you catching insects. And the boy insists, but this one isn't like any other fly I've ever seen. It has a funny white head and sort of a white leg. She says, now you let it go at once. Go along, do as you're told. Go on. And the boy leaves. Look at all that dirt you brought in, she says to the boy. And we see the fly come out of the... I'm going to see if I can catch this without getting a copyright strike.
Yeah, that was a big mistake.
Best fly ever caught.
Oh, that short clip, yeah, you'll be fine.
You should be.
Right. This isn't CBS. Here we are later on, and the maid is talking to her. Was there anything else, madame? No, thank you. Good night. So at least something for the master. He didn't touch a bite of his dinner. I fetched him his tray about an hour ago. It was still outside the door. It had his favorite pastry on it, too, she says. Never mind. He probably didn't hear you knock. I'll see if he wants anything, she says. So she goes downstairs and calls his name. I'm going to bed now. Is there anything you want? And she calls him again, and then he slips a note into the door. And she reads, Helene, I've had some trouble. And she's wondering, and of course she insists, what's the matter? I'm counting on you not to lose your nerve, for only you can help me, he says. But I'm in danger at the moment, although it's a matter of life and death. And now she's really concerned. It's no good calling to me or saying anything. I can't answer and I can't speak. I have to do exactly and very carefully what I tell you. Knock 3 times to show you understand and agree. And fetch me a bowl of milk laced with rum. She's confused, but she does what he says. Bowl of milk.
I like how he says lace it with some rum. I guess he kind of needs a drink at this point.
Probably so, right?
Yeah, I'd say yeah. I'd probably want to have a belt if that when you're under this situation. Yeah.
And we get another appearance of a good old walking refrigerator, aka safe, where
Yay.
many kids unfortunately lost their lives.
But it
Yeah.
saved Indiana Jones, so we're okay.
But always keep that in mind. It totally erased all the bad history, everything, as long as it saved Indiana Jones.
Those are great.
That's
old
yeah.
Those old fridges were awesome, though. Those things were built like tanks.
They were. Anything I can do, madame, says the maid. No, I can manage, she says. And of course, the maid's confused because she's never usually doing anything on her own. And she spills some of the milk and some of the things out of the refrigerator, and the maid goes to fix it.
I love how the maid goes and closes the door too after the wife's forgotten to. That's pretty cool.
Right, and I think, in my opinion, the only reason why all those panels are differently colored like that is because the film was shot in color and they want to show off the color film. Because I've never seen a refrigerator where they paint all the inside parts different colors. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
my parents' old fridge in the '60s was pretty
White.
non-colorful. Yeah,
Right, it was
pretty
all
much.
solid color on the inside. Right.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So I'm
welcome.
guessing.
Sorry,
So, go ahead, Gorilla.
I was just saying, welcome to DVB.
Hail, DVB. Good to see you. Glad you could join us.
Hello.
Dividend.
I mean, those doors on those refrigerators closed. You knew they were closed.
Oh yeah. Because you had to like pull on a handle that would unlock the mechanism
Yes.
to open them back then.
Yep, and they would lock when they closed. Yep.
Yeah, they would lock. Yeah, much better quality than the crappy fridges I've got. Crappy fridge I've got here.
I know.
For sure.
I know. My roommate left our freezer ajar a week
Well,
or
yeah.
so ago, and everything went bad.
Yeah, I have to be careful because if I got a lot of stuff in the fridge and I don't pile it, safely, if something falls, slips and knocks the door open and I'm not around, it's like, that
Yeah.
would be bad.
It
Yeah.
is. And of course, and now the refrigerators weigh a fraction of what those big ones used to, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, they're cheap. They're cheap.
And so she has the milk and the rum, and she goes back to the lab and reads the next note. When you knock, I'll open the door. Walk over to my desk and put the milk on it. Then go into the other lab and try to find a fly. And of course, she's like, what? You will easily recognize it. Its head is white.
And she's like,
Right now, she's thinking about what the boy had told her.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like,
Oh,
no.
Andre. And he says, don't hurt it. Just give it to me. Before you come in, you must promise to obey me implicitly. Do not look at me. Talking is useless. I cannot answer. Knock 3 times to show I have your promise. My life is in your hands. So she pulls up the note, puts it in her pocket, grabs the milk and rum, and knocks on the door. Here we have him with a hood over his head, and she, as instructed, she goes to the other side of the lab and closes the door. No, she leaves it open, but she starts looking for a fly with a white head. In the meantime, he puts his head over the bowl and starts drinking, making a loud slurping sound, which she thinks is very odd, of course, and it gives her the creeps.
Definitely odd. I love this scene. Actually, it's pretty it's pretty scary, really.
And she tells him that the fly's not in here. We'll find the fly tomorrow, I promise. And he's upset. As soon as it's light, I'll start looking. Now, why don't you go to bed and I'll help you. No one will see you, I promise. He doesn't want anybody to see him. She tells him, somewhere in between the text here, to knock once for yes and twice for no. And that's what he's doing. And she says, Flea caught a fly this morning. He said its head was white. I didn't see it. I made him let it go. And he gets upset, of course, and accidentally pulls his other hand out of his pocket. Is this just Gorilla's favorite scream?
It was a pretty good scream.
No.
I just don't like it because it's like, especially right in the earphones or headphones.
Uh-oh.
Especially once I found my good ones.
And he realized what he had done accidentally, and puts his hand back in his pocket. And she rushes out.
And now it's actually dawning on her that something very bad has happened.
And he's typing out another letter. And obviously he's typing with one finger at a time. Come back in the morning. We'll type explanation. Need you fresh and strong tomorrow, poor darling. Sorry.
He's still such a thoughtful husband.
I'm all right now, darling. Don't worry, she says through the door. I'll find that fly. You need anything tonight? And he knocks twice. Darling, please try to get some sleep, she says. And we cut to the next morning. She wakes up. And she does realize that she's still wearing the same clothes from the night before. And she has a breakfast for him. And he answers the door. She puts it on the desk and gives her a note and instructs her to go to the other part of the lab. After he closes the door. And she reads it. I've had a similar accident. I transmitted myself successfully yesterday morning, but in the second experiment, a fly which I did not notice. He says basically what got into the transmitter chamber with him. And he says, now my only hope is to find the fly. Now, guys, notice they did not show him. Well, that's right. The first time they did not show him was the transmitter, but they do the second time. And she said, I've got to go through the machine once more and pray our atoms untangle. So that's why he wants her to find the fly. If you can find it, I'll have to destroy. If you can't find it, I'll have to destroy myself, he says.
Now she's going into panic mode at this point, I'd think.
Yep. And she says, don't worry, Andre, I'll find that fly. It can't be far away. But you mustn't talk about destroying yourself. You mustn't, she says. I'll call Professor Alger, and the other scientists. They can help you. And he says, no. Don't be angry, Andre. I only thought that promise me that you won't do anything. And he knocks once. Let me see your face. I won't be afraid, she says. And he says, no. And she says, all right. And she grabs his left hand and says, all right. And she leaves. And he closes the door. And now we have the maid who is totally confused. And she says, flies, madam. Yes, close the windows. So they're closing all the windows so the fly can't get out. Catch flies. And she says, I told you, Emma. A fly escaped from the lab. We've got to find it. It's got a white head. And she hears Philippe calling out, Mommy. I don't know what's gotten into this house. So she thinks they're all crazy at this point.
Yeah, she's thinking maybe I should stop working for these rich people.
I know, right?
Hey, if you pay them enough, they won't ask questions.
That's true, right?
Nah, probably true. Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to end up dead in a lake in front of their house. That way.
Can we, yeah. Can we catch up on that?
Sure, good idea, Gorilla.
Mikey says, damn lovebirds, LOL. Basil says, meow. Mikey says, let's thank the beatniks and hippies later on for changing our clothing lifestyles. LOL.
That's true.
Basil says, it's been a great stream, Pop.
Thank you, Basil. I've been enjoying myself as well.
It has been very entertaining for sure.
It's been rather entertaining, don't you think?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And Euler Greg says, Gorilla would look like Tarzan 1950s people, two 1950s people. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not.
But I bet he wouldn't be swinging on a vine anytime soon.
Are you sure about that?
Well, no, I'm
Not
not.
not swinging on a vine, but swinging on a bottle.
Okay.
Oh, I'm getting drunk.
That's good. That's
Just kidding,
funny.
Gorilla.
I have never gotten drunk in my life, and there's absolutely no proof of it on the internet, especially not on Anti-Druidist Jill's
Definitely
chat.
not. No,
The
unheard of.
Memorial Day fundraiser stream.
Right, right. It would get in the way of your Bible studies.
Yeah. And Ben Bill says, I have a friend that has nearly 20 cats. I'm sure he'd like to give it a couple to Sudan. Yeah.
I'm sure it smells wonderful at that house.
I think 20 cats is maybe a few cats too many.
I'm guessing
personally.
they're strays outside. I'm guessing they're outside cats.
Well, they're only going to be there if you feed them.
That's a lot of cats.
What the hell's an outside cat? A tiger?
Yeah. And DVB says, hey, ya Pops. Hope you have been well.
Thank you, DVB. I'm holding up. Yes, I have. I've been very fortunate lately. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Basil, this one came to us way too young. She never learned to meow. She sounds like a baby raccoon. I don't even know when she is in heat. That's a good thing. And Mikey says, Nemesis, it was the fridge and a little help from a squid he took from the Holy Grail cup.
We didn't catch that. I'm sorry. I was breaking up, Gorilla.
Nemesis says, it was the fridge and a little help from a swig he took from the Holy Grail cup.
This is true.
I think.
Although those powers weren't supposed to work outside of the boundaries, but we're not talking about Indiana Jones,
But
even though I brought it up.
Yeah, isn't that two different movies?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's sequential, right? Like he drank from the Holy Grail,
Okay.
and then
sorry, I got confused.
oh, it's all good, buddy.
And Suzanne says, tell me about it. When they turn off our electricity, I had to toss out $2,000 worth of meat in the deep freezers.
Oh,
Brutal.
I will
that's not
give it
cool.
away at that point. Or I will try selling it to the neighbors. Joe Greg says, cheers. Basil says, yeah, losing your power is bad news, especially in this heat wave. And Mikey says, those screams are priceless, maybe to you. And Goller Greg says, too bad you didn't have a hungry dragon to eat that food, Suzanne. I lost a tremendous amount of food to my power outage in July.
It does. It happens, and it sucks when it does.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad our grid's pretty good, pretty solid here.
I was in California. It was very unstable and the most expensive in the country and the most unstable.
Yeah. Well, ours is pretty solid. It only goes out when we get hit by by high winds or a tornado. Or
Yeah, but you're always getting hit by high winds and tornadoes, aren't you?
Which makes sense why they reinforce against it. See, like California, they don't reinforce against stuff like that. That's why a slight wind can blow the power lines down.
Actually, it's been quite. But we're gonna have a worse winter than summer, because the summer here we've only had 3 tornadoes, and if you count radar indicated rotation as a tornado, and we've only had 2 severe thunderstorms, which didn't really amount to much. But unless we get an ice storm on top of a cup or about 8 to 12 inches of snow, then our power will stay on. But once you get the ice built up on the lines,
Crossed, you're okay, Gorilla.
yeah, we're fine. We just had a sprinkle tonight. It's like the last tornado. So it is very inconvenient when the tornado sirens go off during the stream.
Yeah, I'm sure that can be.
Oh yeah, I had to end the stream for nothing.
I did see a short video, and I can't remember if it was YouTube or Twitter, where an electrical company, when they get too much snow on their lines, they cause a short, which heats up the lines, which knocks off and melts the snow on top. And they would do that on an intermittent basis, which is pretty smart, and it makes sense.
Yeah. The last time we had the tornado sirens go off, the storm was already 15 miles past.
Of course.
By the time the fires go.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Still, it's probably better to be on the safe side and end the stream. You don't want to fly away with your house or whatever, right?
Hey, I guarantee you that'd be my most viewed stream.
Turn on your camera. Turn on your camera.
Just make sure you got it all on video. Yeah.
Hey, if I die, just guarantee it'll be my most viewed stream. That's all I ask.
It'd
That's right.
it'd probably go viral, actually.
All right. Mikey says, sorry to hear that terrible news, Suzanne. And Suzanne says, Basil, it's getting cold here now. Thus, the reason Pop let me drop the gift saying go link. Oh, we'll do that for anybody who needs help. It's not just because it's getting cold.
Right, but we do recommend everybody please help her out.
Yeah.
Yes, please do.
Basil says, Suzanne, that's a good kitty to have. And Suzanne says, Basil, yeah, she's a good kitty. Still very hot in Houston. Hey, Suzanne, and Basil says, hey, Suzanne, send some of that cold air this way. And Suzanne says, it's been a horrible summer here. Cold, nothing has grown.
It's not good for crops.
And Elder Greg says, Pop's table, obstructive view. I attended a concert sitting behind a column once. Oh, I tickets were only like $5. I really do hope.
They shouldn't even sell seats behind a column. I mean, I always thought that was so ridiculous, but they do.
I went and saw Pat Benatar in concert, and the lady sitting in front of me was so big she blocked the entire concert. All I could do was listen to it.
Oh,
I might as well have been
horrible.
playing a CD on the radio.
That's awful.
She was huge.
Want to snatch my crops? These
Hey,
people want to blow my house down.
Hey, Pop, at least if you were at a Gallagher show, you wouldn't be getting hit with any of the crap that he smashed.
I was far back. I was too far back for that.
Yeah. And Suzanne, it's over 100 degrees here every day, starting early in the morning. It's hell on the budget. Light bill is nearly $200 for a tiny apartment.
Jeez.
Oh, that sucks. My light bill is only like $40.
You must be down south somewhere to have temperatures that high
Texas.
still.
Texas.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it has
DVB, they can literally be deadly, like literally.
Yeah, some cities have to have cooling centers where they tell people if you can't keep cool at home, go to a mall, or they have like gymnasiums open, things like that for people to go to. Unfortunately,
get it out of the sun and get in where there's some air
Well,
conditioning. and cool
Well,
down,
at least they got the shelters for that. And DVB says, yeah, no doubt, Pops. I heard those paddle boards can be deadly. Yep, especially at Martha's.
Yeah,
Never
heat stroke's not fun, that's for sure.
Actually, Martha's Vineyard's a great place to go in the autumn, the fall, as you might know it, for photography.
Yeah, and other Greg says never go swimming with the Kennedy.
Oh, still too soon.
Oh, jeez.
Too soon. It says, "Oh Lordy, this winter is going to be brutal." I don't think it'll be too bad of a winter there.
That's what they said at Chappaquiddick.
But of course, we're
Chappaquiddick.
Chappaquiddick?
That's the one.
Greg says, "Oh, Suzanne, I think I own a long sleeve shirt. The Providence I live in is horrible every day. There is power outages all over the place." Oh, are you in Canada, Suzanne?
I think she's in Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's what she was saying.
And the weather can be quite challenging there, actually.
And Pop Infinity have been amazing.
What about the others? What are they?
Thank you.
Top liver over here? I mean, thanks, Suzanne, but come on. What, you
And,
got a grudge against PvP now?
Infinity
Yeah,
Cycle.
Mikey says Frozen Infinity Sickle.
Oh, ouch.
Yes, Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan.
See, that's
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
You got it, buddy.
Saskatchewan.
Hey, it's not
Saskatchewan.
my fault you guys decided to name your property.
I wasn't talking about Saskatchewan. I was talking about Chappaquiddick. Oh, no,
Yeah.
there's a Harry Potter
That's on the
joke in
chat.
there somewhere.
Harry Potty, right?
Everybody.
I did it right the first time.
That's kind of a double entendre, is it not? Harry
Isn't it,
Potter.
though? I know. What do you get if Kennedy pulls himself out of a river and plays air hockey? Chappaquiddick. I don't know. Work with me. There's something in there. Send it over to
Yeah, that's
Seinfeld.
eels. That's what's in the river with you.
There you go.
Stay on target. We're too close. Stay on target.
Yeah, I agree.
There you go. Yeah, Pop, I agree.
Let's get back to the movie eventually.
Oh, that
someday.
wasn't Pop. That was me. I've been tempting to play
Yeah,
that.
thank you, Gorilla. I was thinking
Yeah.
about that.
Something about a
I was
fly.
thinking about that 10 minutes ago.
I think we got it off on our tangent burst there for some
Yes.
time.
So here we have Philippe approached your mother, and she says, "What do you have?" And he says he caught some flies, lots of them. And she says, "Where is it?" And she says, "Are you sure you caught it? You caught it?" And he says, "Oh, the white one." "No, I haven't caught it yet." And of course, she's overly upset and excited, and he doesn't understand. And she says, "I told you to find that fly." And then she realizes, "I'm sorry, Philippe, darling, but you've got to find it. The white one, only the white one." And of course, he's confused, but he continues on his way to look for the fly. And of course, the maid goes swatting away, killing flies. She says, "No, I said to catch them, don't kill them."
She's not a good listener, this maid, is she?
Hey,
No, she's really
I
not.
think she's part of a SWAT team.
Hey, she is
She knew it
so
was coming.
she's so good at her job, and she's been doing it so long that she can pretty much tell the owners to half off there, and she'll still have her job.
Yeah, she's just not giving up, is she? It's just like ridiculous.
Well, she still has a fly swatter, but at least now she's not swatting it anymore because she points it out to Helene and says, "There's one in the hall there by the staircase."
Oh.
And she gets a good look at it, and it's definitely not the right one.
Nope, that's not it.
"Oh, it's no good, Ilma. We'll never find it."
You can swat it.
And Philippe comes. I need to drink something. Philippe comes back in, disappointed he wasn't able to find it.
Yo,
And
Pop,
she
take a
tells
drink.
him-
I'll take over.
Make some supper. Yeah, no, but I know you can't do the slide. That's the only thing is I have to go downstairs and blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Okay.
go and get washed up for dinner, she says. Oh, Philippe, I'll wait till some of the chat's filled up. There it is.
There it is.
Don't move, she says.
Oh boy. So close.
So she immediately starts closing all the doors. "Give me the sugar and close those doors," she says. Which is a good idea. And there's the fly in the sugar. And he swats it and catches it with the net. And she says, "Good boy." And as they lift it, try to catch it, it gets away, unfortunately. And he says it's in the back of the curtain by the window, and there it is. I wonder how many hours of footage they had to get just to get this right. It's not like you can train a fly. So she says she's going to go outside and try to catch it from the outside.
And
Unfortunately, it gets away. Go ahead.
you would think this huge mansion would have enough budget to repair a window, but oh no.
Unless they hadn't noticed.
Conveniently broken just so the story can happen.
And she sits on the bench and she's crying.
Well,
Frustration,
yeah.
I imagine.
Must be driving.
Don't
her
cry,
wacko
Mommy.
nuts,
Please don't
right?
cry. We'll catch you tomorrow. Don't worry. Remember now, the boy, Pierre, he still doesn't understand what's all the big deal about the fly.
Well, it's not like she's going to tell him, is she?
Right.
Yeah, be like, hey, by the way, this fly we're trying to catch is some eldritch horror that is actually like part your father and part fly, so don't hurt it, right? Like,
And she tells him, "We caught the fly today, but it escaped out into the garden."
I like the kid's dedication, though, I got to say. That's a pretty cool kid.
That's true. He pulls out the note, which he had already had typed before she got there. "You eat, I'll read this here," she says. And he goes back to slurping.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it's actually a real meal this time. That's right. I forgot about that because he starts tearing apart the meat.
Now,
There's his left hand with the ring that I was mentioning earlier.
now I'm wondering, how did he eat the meat? Because is that not anatomically not feasible?
Well, they explained that in the new movie. In the 86 version, I'll put it that way.
Oh, okay.
I mean, arguably, a man turning into a fly is, it's not a documentary.
Right,
No,
and not only
but I
that,
just-
though, flies
just
do
found
eat
it a
that
bit
kind of
odd.
stuff. Flies do eat substance. It's just they go into more detail in 86. The
Okay.
85,
I mean, if
86
you want to get
version.
into it, they throw up on their own food. I mean, you don't want to go there, do you?
No, I don't think we do, really.
they couldn't show that in a 50s movie. That's
No.
more of a German thing.
Yeah, they could.
Body horror.
Yeah, well, Cronenberg would have no problem with it, obviously.
I
But
want to see a fly smoking a cigarette going, "Oh, that was rather a nice meal."
And this is her reading his note. Elaine, if you had caught the fly, you would not be reading this. I know you will never catch it now. It's hopeless. And he says, there are things man should never experiment with. Now I must destroy everything, all evidence, even myself. No one must ever know what I discovered. It's too dangerous. I thought of a way. It's not easy, but I need your help. And of course, she goes to him.
This is when when we get elements of tragedy here, because it's like, I'm thinking you're giving up maybe a little bit too soon, because the fly is still out there buzzing around someplace, and you never know. I mean, it still could be caught in the next day or two. So, give it a little bit of time maybe, but oh well, story has to happen.
Yeah, probably so.
You're like the plot private detective today, PvP.
This is like tragedy.
She's telling him that. She says, you can still reason, Andre. You've got no right to destroy yourself. You mustn't think about it. You're still a man with a soul. You've no right to destroy yourself.
That is a good
point.
We'll
find that fly tomorrow. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Just a quick comment.
It's all psychological. Sorry, Pop.
No, that's right. I want to talk. I'm going to go grab something to drink. I'll be right back, guys.
All right, I'll catch up on chat here.
Okie dokie.
And Suzanne says, I can't believe I'm still somewhat awake. Yeah?
Right.
Hey, Suzanne, I got to say, your typing is impeccable. I don't think you made one spelling error, so...
The more medication Suzanne has, the better her grammar.
She's doing very well.
Yeah. Like he says, try saying Saskatoon 5 times really fast. Saskatoon.
It's
Saskatoon. God damn it.
Not Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan.
Ooh.
Can I call it Arkansas? Is this a thing? If we're gonna, anyways, no, we're not gonna get into that.
No. We've sidetracked enough tonight.
Yeah.
Here, I got some just for that one. Their
nice.
Jeez, girl, how many of those wonderful little clips do you have saved up in
That's not mine. That was Pop's. That
was Pop's. Oh,
I've been waiting to play that one.
That was a good one.
Mike said, "Thank you, Suzanne." Suzanne says, "Please know that I am not on disability or welfare or government dole or programs. I got really sick and fell behind. I never asked for help because I feel like a failure. So anything helps things. You're not a failure, Suzanne. It happens. It happens to the best of people too.
Yeah, we've all been there once or twice, Suzanne. So don't worry about it.
Yeah." And Suzanne says, "Mikey, thank you for what, dear? Thank you for coming to us for help. You're very brave." Mikey, it doesn't feel brave, LO. It is embarrassing. It's not. It shouldn't be embarrassing, Suzanne. We've all had. Like I'm right now. If I miss a couple days of work there, it's like and right at least up there you guys got your healthcare program up there. We don't have that. Though, like when I got stung by the wasp, I was very hesitant to even go in because it cost me $300 bucks.
Ouch! That's probably even more painful than the wasp sting, gorilla.
Of course, that's way more painful.
That's horrible, man.
Why do you think I didn't go in?
Because it was expensive. That's a lot of money. Jeez. Wow. Man.
Yeah. And Mikey says, we don't judge and you're not embarrassing yourself, hon.
There's nothing embarrassing about asking for help when you're in trouble. There's absolutely nothing embarrassing about that.
Yeah. And says, yep, a lot of kitty litter and a lot of food, but no mice and no rats or possums.
Well, no vermin is a good thing.
Yeah, Basil must be a little bit behind on the stream there, catching up. And Suzanne says, Mikey, it's usually me that is the helping folks. Not the one. Hey, well, Suzanne,
circle of life.
If you've done your share of helping, then it's time for people to help you. That's
I agree completely.
Well, that's what life's about. It's about give and take, right?
Yeah. And Basil,
welcome back, Pop.
And Basil said you're 11 in the house alone. Holy crap! Possum, definitely no possums.
Amen to
that. Oh, nice.
That's hilarious, Suzanne.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're still typing very, very well, I must say.
Better than I would be doing.
Yeah, better than I'd be doing for sure.
Well, at least I made a girl. Mike says, "Girls make me laugh all stream." Well, at least I make you laugh, but not make you think I'm retarded or something.
You generally have that effect on me too, girl. You make me chuckle quite a bit, buddy.
Yeah. Yes, but the meds are expensive. Oh yeah, I know.
That's not good.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah,
Big pharma is a big bad thing.
Oh, she's in Canada.
What's a friendly way of saying this? Yeah, these drug companies tend to just say unwillingly insert themselves into you.
Well, not only that though, but even in Canada, it's all the same drugs. I mean, they still pass hands throughout the countries.
Yeah.
Thing is here though, it all depends on your situation. Like the government does pay for a pretty good.
Well, that's how it is too in the U.S. Right? There's some they'll pay for, some they don't.
And then I've got private insurance through work, which pays for a little bit extra. And then on top of that, my doctor, I just got 2 months ago. She's such a nice, really sweet doctor. And she actually called me a few weeks ago, and she's got me on a program now where I should get.
If we can't PvP, can we talk about the movie PvP, please?
Yeah, we're like drifting hard.
Stay on
target.
We've got to stay on target, please, guys. I'm sorry, but we have to.
Okay, it's just that everybody was talking about this medical stuff, so I just got sidetracked.
I know, but I wanted it to be. I was hoping it was something that would be mentioned and then move on.
I want to
move on. We're
going
going on
through it too.
3 hours now.
Yeah, I want to get through it too as quickly as possible. So go for it.
Well, it's not just a matter of getting through it, but it's staying on topic so we don't lose viewers or listeners. That's the point.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't care if we talk about it for 8 hours.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to target with what the audience wants.
Yeah. Well, please do.
Have a good night, Oiler. Good night.
Good night, Oiler, Greg.
Night, Oiler.
Night, Oiler, Greg.
And this is where he explains why they can't wait any longer. He's losing his brain capacity and his sanity. He says it's getting worse and worse. Strain on the brain. And she says, you've got to give me more time. And he knocks twice on the table. And she says, why won't you wait? And he tells her, feel my will going already. So he's, think about this, guys. He's giving up also because if he loses brain capacity, she doesn't know how to do the experiment. She doesn't know how to do the transfer.
Yeah.
So essentially, he's worried that he's running out of time.
He might not even remember how to activate the machine by tomorrow.
Well, and what they're showing here is that he's losing less control over his left hand because it's struggling with the right hand.
He's basically losing his humanity, basically.
Here's where she asks him, why don't you try to go through it before? And he tells her it's not going to work. Don't give this to me, VLC player. And it did. My player just lagged. Again.
Oh, darn.
Bear with me, guys. I apologize.
No worries, Bob.
There it is. And it starts when I least expect it, so I have to keep an eye on it so I don't get a copyright warning. So here's where he says, need that fly, he writes on the board. And she says, please, Andre, for my sake. Maybe it'll work. I beg you. Oh, darling, I love you and I want you so much. Please, please let this come out right. So he agrees to go through it again. Hurry, darling. It will work, she says. And he turns on the computers. Puts on the goggles. We get the loud noise and the bright light. Loud static. And he transfers to the other side. And she goes to check it. Nope, unfortunately. You'll be all right now. I know it's worked, she says. And she rips off the hood without him being able to stop her. And this is where she sees how he looks now. And I think it's great makeup. Pretty good makeup for 1958.
Yeah.
I agree.
This here saved it from, because I was going through the whole movie. I was like, okay, when are we going to, because I've known the trope of this, when are we going to see the half fly, half human man there? We got a glimpse of a hand there, but it's like, when are they going to show it? When are they going to show it? If they don't show it, this movie's going to get D- for sure.
I can understand that sentiment. So did
Yeah.
you watch? So when you watched this gorilla, was it your first time?
Yes.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I was so ready. I was like, they haven't shown it yet. I'm gonna flunk this movie if they don't show the damn fly thing there.
right, understandable. And
Well,
this is why
Call the
remember
fly.
why
You gotta have a fly.
gotta have a fly, right? And
it's a
and
great
obviously, go ahead.
it's a great reveal, really. I mean, it's well, like, it's basically a jump scare, I guess, basically, because the first time you see the film, you're like, "Whoa!" You know, you have
Yeah,
same of reaction she did. It's like, "Yikes!"
I
which
was
is why which is
I,
why we get Gorilla's favorite scream.
yeah.
Here we
I
go.
wasn't like whoa. I was like, cool.
It's very great practical effects. I agree. And I love how they accurately got, because flies do see like that, do they not? Multiple images.
Yes, their eyes are like that. They have multiple pixels.
Once again, intelligent writing, thoughtful production, putting in those little details.
And she passes out because it's too much for her.
Hmm.
And then notice also another thing is it's not a monster movie because he's still a man at heart. He's not going around on a rampage killing people.
Exactly. It's more of a tragedy in the last part of the film, I think, really.
It is. It's definitely a love story tragedy. And he's trying to comfort her. Unfortunately, his left hand keeps getting in the way, and he gets frustrated and he's having to struggle with it.
Hmm.
And this is where he
Guys.
decides. Yes.
Sorry to jump in. Speaking of fly, I've got to buzz off.
Well, thank you.
Word.
Thank you for spending time with us today, Captain. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, nice to
Thank
see
you
you,
for having
Cap.
me on the panel. I'll be buzzing around the chat a little bit, but you guys carry on. You're doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on, Pops. Thank
Thank you,
panel.
sir.
Thank you, chat.
Thank
Catch
you,
you later.
Captain. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
All right, buzz later.
And I
Bye-bye.
want to recommend Captain Infinity's channel, everybody. He's very insightful and funny. He's got a lot of videos to entertain you. So please check out. Well, or is it not Peter, not Finity now? I kind of lose count, but track of the name. Sorry, Captain.
I
But
think it
everybody,
is.
I do check it out.
I think
You
it
can
is
write
actually. I think he changed it, Pop. Yeah.
right, and also if you see when you see his name in the chat, you should be able to right click or click on the right hand side where the three little dots are, and you get a little click where it says go to channel. So yeah, thank you for being up here for a while and helping us keep it the audience entertained, Captain. So here's
Have a
where he
good
goes
night,
on the
Captain.
rampage. Absolutely. But I'll see you on your channel soon, Captain. And he starts destroying the lab and all the equipment. And this is what I meant earlier when she said that they have new equipment arriving. I forgot to bring up that the new equipment is the full-size transporters, or disintegrator reintegrators, as he calls them.
Yeah, the full size. Yep.
And he continues destroying the lab. Got to have it destroy the lab scene.
Yeah, I guess he's realized he's just run out of time at this point.
And his mind is going, yeah. I would say, yeah.
Rapidly, yeah.
And this is what we were kind of brought up earlier. This where he grabs all his notes and all his files and puts them outside in the
Oh yeah.
dumpster there and sets them on fire.
It's well. I guess from what he said, it's too dangerous a knowledge to have. So it's probably a good thing that he did do what he did.
Yes. Yep. And that's why the inspector brought up that it's hard to decipher from ashes.
Hmm.
He wipes everything out.
Hmm.
No use now. Help me. But don't come near me. He'll fly. Please. Love you.
Yeah, I thought the part where he says "Don't come near me" was very interesting because he's obviously getting to the point where his humanity is fading so quickly he no longer trusts himself
Yes.
to where she'd be safe if she was too close to him. And you can tell by his handwriting, it's degenerating so badly so quickly that he is basically losing his consciousness.
Yes.
One of the things we don't get to see due to the slides is the great physical acting that he's doing. All of this has been, you can tell through how hard he hits the pan or whatever he's hitting when he does one or two. There's scenes
Yes.
where he's angry and frustrated, and you can hear it resonating through just how he's doing the acting through with his body. And it's lost in translation with these slides. So once again, definitely recommend you check this out on your own. It's there's a lot of nuances to this film that we're missing here.
Yes.
A lot,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of nuances. I agree 100% with you, Nemesis. Yeah.
And as the great John Carpenter says, sound is 60% of the movie.
There's some great sound in the film, for sure. Great sounds. And yeah, I agree that the way he pounds on the desk, you can tell when he's really, really angry or when he's not. It's just the intensity and the level of how much force he pounds the desk with. And it's really good acting. It really is.
Yep. And here's where he's operating the press, but he's struggling with his left hand. And this is where she found out how to use the press. He basically gives her instructions. Remember, he knows because he's co-owner of, in case he was asking, he's co-owner of this company. So obviously he knows how to operate the press. And of course she's hesitant and she's just standing there. And he places himself under the press.
Oh, God.
And gives her the signal.
Oh, man. This is a tough scene.
And the press descends. But she has, of course, on second thought, she changes her mind and tries to pull him out, but he'll have none of that. She escapes the press just in time as it goes down and stops.
Like, I thought he grabbed her and he was holding on to her and like keeping her there. Like, going back to what PvP was saying about not being able to trust himself anymore. To me, it seemed like the fly had taken over and it was like, no, and she had to break free.
Let's check that out. Hopefully we won't get a warning for this. Here we go.
So it would have been kind of nice to see, like, maybe.
It looks more like she's holding on to him. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you can interpret it either way, actually. I think Nemesis has an interesting point.
He was trying to hold on and he was shoving her away. This is clear. So it would have been kind of nice to see her maybe get like a part of her hand caught in it, you know?
No, it wouldn't have been nice.
Just a little bit to make Gorilla happy.
Oh, jeez, Gorilla.
Come on, have you realized I'm a satanical bastard yet?
Hey, we had enough blood at the beginning of the film.
That was the only blood in the film.
Yeah, but it was a
Yes.
lot. It was a lot
Yes.
of blood, and it was really bright and gory looking. So I was happy.
And I don't know why. I know it's just me, but I don't know why. But redheads were more beautiful back then. They were more attractive. I don't know why.
I always did like redheads, but I never was lucky enough to date one. But oh well.
No, but I had one for a mother. Believe me, I'm very emotional. I'll put it that way.
I've heard they do have that fiery temperament. So
Can't get a word in edgewise. Right. Always
Yeah.
brings up the past. You know, the good all the good stuff in life. Right.
Yeah, I guess I'm better off not knowing any.
So this is why they explained earlier why there was 2 compressions, because there was a thud, which they just did, and then now she realized that his left hand is exposed, and it was not in the press.
Yeah. Yeah, I did
But
catch that. I did catch that watching it last night for sure. Yeah.
You did, which you had brought up earlier, PvP, about how he had wanted to destroy all of the evidence. And yeah, 100%. That's why they had to do it twice. That's why it was slow and sure. Yeah, it was brutal.
Well, I think part of it was he was almost embarrassed at his failure as a scientist to not be more careful and to be probably basically reckless with a extremely new technology that he really should have been more careful. And also, I think he wanted to hide the evidence, to kind of, save her more complicated problems, because it was like, if he hadn't, it'd be like, okay, lady, your husband turned into a fly. It's like, what? Can you explain that?
I think
But
it was more because he didn't want to spread into someone else's hands, and he didn't want it to happen to someone else.
100%. Like I'm thinking like Godzilla, the original one where he destroys all of his artwork because he's like, yeah, no, man's not ready for this. And he even like mentions it. He's like, we're not ready for this kind of thing yet. And so he goes ape and destroys his lab and destroys all evidence. He destroys his notes.
Yeah, burns all the documents. Yeah, that's probably the number one reason, come to think of it. It's just like mankind is not wise enough to have this kind of power.
But then we always get sequels. So there you go.
Well, they want to cash in.
Yep. A strange story, Mrs. Delambre, says the inspector. It's almost impossible to believe, isn't it? What happened to his notes? He destroyed them. And the writing on the blackboard, I rubbed it out, she says. And he says, I see. Well, I must be going. Thank you for telling me. Inspector, it wasn't wrong to destroy the thing, she asks. Fly-headed human? No. It wasn't Andre. I couldn't have hurt Andre, she said. But I'm glad the thing is dead. I'll see you out, Inspector, says Francois. And they talk to the nurse. Give her instructions to keep an eye on her. And Francois asks the inspector, do you believe the story? True, but I asked you. He says, you believe it. And he says, well, it's true, but I asked if you believe it. Oh, I'm only a policeman, not a science fiction enthusiast. But I do not believe what she said. It can't happen. But you don't, well, I mean, you didn't know Andre, he said. He was a genius in some ways. Possibly, but matter cannot be transmitted. Oh, the story is impossible, says the inspector. I'll be back at 10 o'clock with a warrant for her arrest on the charge of murder. Not to leave her for any reason, so he's telling me to keep an eye on her. But Inspector, it might be the truth. It is the truth to her, he says. I'm satisfied now. She's quite insane. She won't hang. Well, I'm not satisfied. I wish I could help you, monsieur. The lady's in need of a doctor's care permanently. There's no telling whom she might attack next. Perhaps the boy. But there must be something we can do to prove it, says Francois. And he says, there is. Show me the fly. And with that, he leaves.
That's a great scene. It's like, when I was watching this, because I haven't seen this movie in 30, 40 years before I watched it again last night, and I'm thinking, man, we're like not very few minutes away from the end of this movie, and it's really getting dark here, right? Real dark stuff.
Yep. And he walks into the kitchen where Emma the maid is, and she says, good morning, Monsieur Francois. And he says, good morning, Emma. How's the mistress, sir? Oh, as well as it can be expected. It's a lovely lady, and he says, yes. Emma, when you had that mad search for a fly, did you see it? He said. Oh, yes, I saw it. And he said, what did it look like? She says, oh, just a fly. I say it was a blue bottle. You know, quite a large one. Did it look any different? He said. Not to me it didn't, she said. She and Philippe were saying its head was white. But it was just a fly. And he says, thank you. May I fix you some breakfast, sir? No, thank you. And with that, he leaves. And he goes outside by the garbage. And there's, of course, bunch of flies, and he starts to examine them. And then he realizes it's a waste of time, and he continues and walks over to the bench where she was crying earlier. And the bells are ringing in the church, and he hears a fly buzzing. And we have a shot. The camera pans over, and there's a spider web. And we hear the tiny voice shouting, help me, help me. I hate giving away the end of this movie for people that haven't seen it, but hopefully everyone has seen it by now. So there's too much noise. He doesn't hear the voice coming from the spider web.
Oh, boy.
The bells are drowning it out. And he checks his watch, and it's 10 o'clock, and here come the police and the people from the sanitarium.
Hey, Montreal. Is this taking place in Montreal?
Maybe it's Canada then.
It's got to be, because Montreal. Well, I don't think there's a Montreal, France. So yeah.
No.
Wait, Montreal, that's in Quebec, ain't it?
That is in Quebec.
That
Biggest,
explains everything.
largest city in Quebec. Second largest after Toronto, I believe.
Well, that overrides all those theories earlier about it being a small town, the way they treated her and everything.
It's definitely not a small town. There's millions and millions of people there. Yeah,
But you gotta remember, this is 1958, so how big was it in 58?
probably
I'm
a
sure it
lot.
was big.
It was
Yeah,
still a big
definitely.
city.
Right, as I was going to say, probably not as big, but I'm sure it was big then.
It's pretty much always been the second largest community for many decades in Canada, as far as I know. But I'm not gonna bother looking it up though. It's like let's just get the movie over.
And the
Thank you.
inspector says, "Well, I thought it ought to be." The inspector asked why Francois is there, and he says, "Well, I thought I ought to be here." As next to kin, you have the right. He says the inspector. No, I'm not. No, I'm sure it must be all right. He asked him if he wants to see the warrant. He said, "No, I'm sure it'll be all right." And she's resting. The nurse is watching over. Madame, time to get up now. Of course, the nurse is not telling her where she's going. Oh, I slept so well. Wonderfully, it is. Is it a nice day? She says, yes. I think I'll have a silk one. Take this one, the nurse says. You must be warm. And she says, but I'm not going out. Nurse doesn't want to tell her, of course.
She ain't gonna be sleeping in bed that nice anymore.
Nope. And a knock at the door. Come in. And here comes the inspector with the warrant. Good morning, Mrs. Delambra, Inspector. But I don't understand. He says, I have a warrant for your arrest for murder. And I must caution you anything you say. He says, but Inspector, I told you everything. He said, this is for the court to decide. But she said, but you said it was wrong to kill a thing. He says, you have to come with us, Madame. Francois, didn't you show them? She's asking Francois about the flag. Remember earlier, he said he had it in his desk. And she says, you have to come with. And she says, Francois, didn't you show them? And he said, my friend, I did not, Mrs. Delambra.
Now, I got a question.
Yes.
Does Canada have those Miranda lights like that where they say that they're going to use anything you say against you? Or is that just a courtesy thing for her?
What was that again? Can you repeat that, girl? I didn't quite catch that.
He was asking him. Go ahead.
Do you guys have something similar to the Miranda rights up there? Or is that just a courtesy for her?
Actually, I've never really thought about that much because I've never really been that much in trouble with the law up here. But I would imagine if they do place you under arrest, they're probably going to, tell you that you have your rights and read you some kind of rights.
I'm guessing it's probably similar.
It's probably similar where it's like, we could use anything you say against you, so shut the hell up and get a lawyer, basically, right?
Or in her case, a team of lawyers.
Yeah, since I'm not a hardcore criminal, though, I really don't have much knowledge about that stuff. So,
well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm glad.
So he tells her, I lied to you, Helene. I never had it. And of course, she's upset. You never had it. If you'll just come with us, Madame. You never saw it, she says. Leave her alone. She doesn't have to go with you. I demand that I first have time to talk to my attorney. He's already consulted with him. The patient is ready to leave. Francois, so in other words, the attorney doesn't believe her either. So Francois, I don't believe it. I have his diagnosis, says the inspector, and his authority. No, wait, don't make things more difficult, monsieur. Francois, don't let them take me. Don't let them lock me up. So this is what we should have saw at the beginning of the movie, but oh well. Francois, please, mommy, and the boy's there, and she hears the boy, and she says, oh, Francois, do something. Don't let him see me like this. Please. And he stops outside the door to stop the boy from running inside. And he says, Philippe, you can't see her. Philippe, not at this moment. I'll take you for a walk. I know, I'll take you to the movies, he tells him.
Most critical scene in the whole movie, I'm thinking.
Yep. And Philippe says, which also proving he's not as dumb as they make him look.
He's a smart
But they don't open until this afternoon, he says. And then I'll take you this afternoon. And he hears mommy, is she going to be all right? And he says, yes, all right. And the boy says, I ran all the way over here. And he says, oh, I wanted to see how she was. I wanted her to play with me. She'd like that, Philippe. But she can't, not now. And then he asks again, when's Daddy coming home? And he says, soon, Philippe. And he says, I saw that funny looking fly again. And he says, oh. And which show will we go to? Any. And then he realizes, you saw the fly? Where? He says, it's in a web. A spider's going to get it. He says, you're sure? And he says, oh, yes. Stay here a minute. And he runs up to the stairs and he gets the inspector. It's in the garden. Come quickly. Please, Monsieur Delambre. Philippe has seen it. It's there. I beg of you. Please, please. All right. Show me where, says the inspector. And they go out to the garden and Philippe shows him the spider web next to the bench. Wait in the house, he tells the boy. And then in a high-pitched voice, now they hear it. Help me. Please help me. And hopefully no copyright strike here. Excellent effects for 58. And I remember thinking when I was a kid, I was thinking, is that an old lady? But no, that's the actor dressed up as an old man.
It's kind of weird. It doesn't really look like Hedison in a way, but it's still fun.
It is him. Well, I'll show. Let me go back. His eyes. Those are his eyes. That's how I went back when I was watching this last night.
I guess.
Rewinded, and those are his eyes.
But he looks very different.
Yes, he does look very different. Well, it's good to make him look aged because the fly, they said it lasts only a month or so.
There's another incredibly intelligent bit of writing and research. Like, man, the people who put this film together had some brains, didn't they? Damn.
Oh,
Yep.
I just thought the spider was snacking on him and slowly sucking out his blood, torturing him.
No,
Well, they don't go into detail.
I think when it's well, go ahead, Pop.
Well, there's no time for that.
Yeah, let's
Francois
go.
sees this and he doesn't allow that to happen. But this is another reason why I don't eat crab or lobster, people. And say no, no.
I love the help me. That creeps me out every time I hear it.
Right there. Ooh. And that right there was pretty fierce for a 1950s movie.
This movie's got some pretty hardcore stuff in it, to be honest. Yeah.
The inspector picks up a rock and smashes it.
Yeah.
And the inspector says, I didn't believe it, that you saw it. I thought she was, as God is my witness, I saw the thing, he says. I shall never forget that scream as long as I live, says the inspector.
Yeah, me too.
And then Francois says, you committed murder just as much as Helene did.
Excellent
You
line.
killed a fly with a human head. She killed a human with a fly head. And he says, I know, but who's going to believe us? They'll think we're both mad. But he could have started the press and got under it in time. By the way, that black police car behind them, 1957 Ford. My mother used to have one, but hers was green and yellow.
Huh.
It could have been suicide, says Francois. Andre's mind was deranged. Helene just tried to stop him. Here they are fabricating a story. I was the one who forgot to reset it after it was used the last time. Yes, says the inspector. It could have been suicide. We cut to Philippe playing croquet. Oh, great shot, Philippe. In fact, those aren't even legal to sell in the U.S. anymore. Jeez.
Really?
Yes.
I played croquet a lot of times when I was a little kid like that.
Me
Wait,
too,
what?
but
Why is it illegal?
because of what's in his hand.
This is a fun game. So you can't just play croquet. You're going to like club somebody, right, with that.
Well, apparently somebody hit somebody with it, so they banned it for everybody. The usual.
That's dumb. Wow.
A centuries-old game.
Oh, that's very sad.
So Francois comes to visit, and he's saying hello. Now, here's what I thought was nice, because they didn't show whether, now remember at the beginning of the movie, Francois said he always loved her, but she loved Andre.
Right.
So they don't show him trying to exactly swoop in. It's like he's there as an uncle. He's paying attention to the boy. I like this.
Well,
In
he's
modern day movies, him and her be making out at this point.
He's a classy dude, so you know.
Yes. Uncle, yes. Mommy told me about Daddy. See, finally,
Oh, good.
something she said to ask you. He died because of his he has some. How did he die? Or why did he die? I can't remember the exact words. And he just says he died because of his work. He was like an explorer in a wild country. He was searching for the truth, and he almost found a great truth. But for one instant, he was careless. That's what killed him. Search for the truth.
Careless, yeah, that's the key word there, I think.
All right. Search for the truth is the most important work in the whole world and the most dangerous.
Another great
And the
line.
voice, yep, and the voice, and it's true. And the boy says, I'd like that. I'd like to be an explorer like him. Will you help me, Uncle Francois? Yes, Philippe.
That's cool.
Now you better run and get a coat. Yes, right away. You're a dear one, Francois. So kind and thoughtful, she says. Well, come along, you two. And we get ending credits. So it's
Yeah.
like, I like it. They leave it at maybe him and her get together. We don't know. But I'm glad they don't go there because it's still too soon.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Actually,
All right.
speaking of going there, do they go there in any of the sequels?
Different actors, I believe. So we can
Okay,
cover
so they
that.
don't.
Well, the next
So
one's
they
called Son of the Fly, so it's going to be different characters.
So they probably don't. Okay, I just wanted to ask.
Go ahead, Gorilla.
All right. So Basil here says he's from Houston, Texas. Cool.
Still warm.
Hey, Suzanne said, "Sorry, Pop. My fault for derailing."
No, don't apologize, Suzanne. Usually it's not one person's fault. We all do it.
Yeah, I think a bunch of us derailed it for a while there, Suzanne, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, people
And-
like to talk.
Yeah, and I like to talk
Which
too
is
much sometimes,
yeah, which
I
is
know.
fine. That's what these streams are for, right?
Yeah. And Basil said, "Suzanne, apologies are unnecessary. Derailments can be fun."
Unless you're on a
Yes.
train. Unless you're on a train.
Absolutely.
And Mikey says, "Ben Nye's genius makeup."
Referring to the fly. Yes, I agree.
And Mikey says, "Finity is the Fly." Going to sit down and watch the Fly tomorrow and watch the Fly. Mikey says, "But for efforts were in vain because this film had 2 more sequels." And for some reason, Suzanne saying it's 420 for those who partake. I don't know. It's 1120.
It's 9:34 here.
It's 10:34 here. It's nowhere near 420.
Right.
Yeah, anything you say.
Oh, I know what Suzanne means. 420. Isn't that the big marijuana smoke up day?
Yeah. Well, it's a day where you plant marijuana,
Okay, that's probably what she's referring
but everybody
to. I'm
does
guessing.
celebrate it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suzanne says anything you say can and will be used against you. Yep. You have the right to remain silent. Should you choose that right, you are entitled to have an attorney presence. Yeah,
Yeah,
so basically Canada still has the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think you have to confess anything until you have get a lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah,
We still have
yeah.
croquet, says Suzanne. Suzanne, let us know. Are they all? Is it still made out of wood? That's my question. Is that legal to still make them out of wood, or is it like an old set that you have? Go ahead.
And Mikey says it's 12:34 here in Toronto.
Ouch. Yeah, it's getting late there.
All right. So remind everyone. Hopefully, the poll is still in the chat. Vote for this movie, and give it a grade on what you thought of the movie and/or what you thought of the stream on how we handled it. I'm going to go around to the different panelists and let everybody give their opinions and tell us about their channels. Let's start. I'll go in clockwise again because counterclockwise seems to confuse some people. So I'm going to say PvP. What is your grade for this movie? And tell us about your channel.
Well, I really love this movie. I think it's an excellent film. It's a little bit hard to categorize because, as we talked about, it's kind of got elements of horror, drama, sci-fi, and even tragedy mixed all together, like a nice blend. I rated it a little less. You guys might be shocked. I gave it a B plus. The reason I gave it a B plus, even though I think it's a fantastic film with a great cast, and excellent writing, very intelligent script and writing and research. So I do appreciate that. It's just that there's other films, a lot of other sci-fi films I like a little bit more that would make it into the A category, right? So I give it a solid, very strong B plus. I think it's an excellent film. I think everybody should watch it. And Yeah, the performances are great. The makeup, practical effects are great. The special effects are quite awesome for 1958. Um, yeah, I guess there's not much I can add because I want to keep it short and I don't want to, we probably want to end the stream soon. So, yep, pretty much it's a great film and I recommend it. And as far as my channel, it's just basically music. I got lots of music videos and stuff up there. So go and check it out, guys.
Cool. All right. Thank you, PvP. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome, Pop.
And let me see if I can do this fast enough. Hey, Gorilla, what to say you? What's your grade of the movie? And tell us about your channel.
Well, with this film here, there's still a lot of unanswered questions there. I wish that they would have done that. The thing off of him a lot sooner, so we could have had more pictures of the fly thing. This movie came so close to getting flunked out because I thought, oh wait, they're not even going to show the head or anything. But there's a lot of unanswered questions. It didn't bother me as much with them coddling the woman, but she was a shock thing. But they could have done that a lot better and stuff. And I'm gonna give it a B. I was entertained, but there's still a lot of questions.
That's cool. And tell us about your channel.
Well, let's see. Tomorrow night, we got a 2-hour long, 2 hours and 15-minute episode of Justified. There, because apparently people think they have to write super long ass episodes instead of just splitting them up, because they can't have more than 13 episodes per season,
That's terrible. I know. It's cheap.
So for Black Mirror got even lazier than that, 3 episodes a season. But anyhow, Friday, we got a Waltz review. I can't remember which episode it is. It's the one after the chicken thief. And then on Saturday, I got a very special show there just for Mikey. Don't come for the show, come for the reaction. I got a therapist on standby for him. And then we got Babylon 5 watch party Saturday night. I do got to move the time of toys there because of prior commitments.
Very cool. Thank you, Gorilla. I appreciate that. That therapist, is your therapist named Jim Beam?
No. I could only afford Troy there, with her 13-cent checks that she likes to receive.
I think if your therapist is Jim Beam, it depends if it's on sale or not.
That's true.
I think I got some Captain Morgan on top of the fridge.
Nemesis of Eden, what say you? Tell us your grade of this movie and tell us about your channel.
All right. Well, I'd give this one a B+. It's more of a drama than anything. It's got multiple aspects of all different things. The scientific writing was really good for back in the 50s. The color was really good. The set design was really good. If you're into science fiction and drama and good character acting, I would recommend this film at least once. The initial gore at the beginning of the film was it played pretty heavily into my rating, and then just the effects with the fly itself was also really well done, especially back in the day. So yeah, it's solid. You probably don't need to see it more than once, but definitely at least check it out. Like, there's a lot that we missed when it comes to the inflections of just the movements, how their bodies are acting, how they're talking. It's well done for the most part. The storyline is a little iffy at points. Like Gorilla said, there's a lot of unanswered questions, and they kind of just leave it in the air. But I mean, you've got Vincent Price, so at the very least, there's that. And as for my channel, I do video gaming, and I throw up whatever videos I think I feel like doing. So
Perfect.
Definitely check it out.
Absolutely. I second that, everybody. Check out Nemesis of Eden's channel. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Pop.
My pleasure. All right. And I'm going to fall in around the same category as you guys, same rating. I'm going to give it a B plus. Yes, it could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. It really established a lot of the scientific tropes about transporters. Obviously, it was ahead of its time when it comes to that. And the main reason why it may not be an A movie as far as the ratings that people give it, but I thought it was important to establish timeline in history because we will be watching the remake, and this will give you something to compare it to. Because most people who had seen the remake had seen the original. I know there's some who have not, but it's a good basis to go off on, like a springboard. I thought David Hedison did a good job for his early role, for being an early role of his, and the lady who played his wife, Helen, I thought did a fantastic job. Even the boy was a good actor. The acting was good all around, and thank God this is one of the movies that helped Vincent Price break out as a big actor, as we know. This is one of the few last times we saw, even though he did later on in the future, I'm not saying he didn't, but this is one of the few last times we saw him playing a good guy. He tended to play a bad guy a lot. But he was good in Last Man on Earth and the Days of Autumn. His last movie, I believe, is the name with him and Betty Davis and Lily and Gish. Summer of Autumn, Days of Autumn, something like that. I'd have to see it again. And of course, he was also in Edward Scissorhands. I mean, I can go on and on with Vincent Price. But yeah, I'll give it a B plus, and that's my rating. And we won't be having a Gilligan's Island stream tomorrow because of prior commitments. Gorilla won't be able to join us, and you can't have Gilligan's Island without Gorilla. But I will probably be having another Rumblings from the Lab, maybe Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, evening. If you guys can make it, that'd be wonderful. And I'll be putting out another poll to see what movie we can cover next week. But I know we've been showing a lot of, for anybody out there asking, why are you showing the old movies? Well, we're going to start showing some of the more modern ones as well, because obviously there's so many to get to. And I promise I don't want to disappoint. And once, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the stream, we're going to cover a lot of really big ones, big ones, fairly modern ones for October for Halloween month. Okay, and like I said, there's a poll in the chat. If it's hopefully still there, please vote in the chat. If you'd like to, hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the stream. I'm going to go to that poll right now and end it, and I'm going to share the results with everyone. Good, it's still there. It's definitely good to see.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, unlike the other night, right?
Yeah.
I think it was because it was 2 days. So that's why today I waited and I did the poll right a few hours before the stream.
Oh,
so that may have been a problem.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea for the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I could post the stream days ahead of time, but don't do the poll until it's the same day is what I figured I'll start doing from now on. And here we go. And here we have the result of our poll. It looks like we got a total of 16 votes. What grade would you give The Fly? And it looks like 68%, which is a very good response. A plus to A minus. 18% says B plus to B minus. 6% said C plus to C minus. And 6% said D plus to F minus. Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. And like I've said before, I appreciate your honesty. If you don't like the movie, tell us so. If you like it, tell us so. So the fact that we get all these different opinions is what makes this so interesting.
Well, once again, it's a wide spread of different opinions, and it's kind of interesting that so many people put it in the A category. You know, that's quite impressive, actually.
Yes, which makes me very happy. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, or at least most of you did.
It is a very high quality film. I mean, even though I gave it a B plus, I still think it's a classic. So
it's just right. It's hard to separate it from modern horror, and especially the remake. So you'd have to actually, which is nearly impossible, is take yourself out of all that and see this for the first time back in the 50s or 60s. Then it would have differently.
You kind of have to try. Well, I guess for younger people, it's probably impossible, but you have to try and put yourself in the mindset of the era when a film is produced to really kind of understand it, I think, sometimes. Yes,
that's what I think.
But it's only like movies like Forbidden Planet and stuff like that. That's the only reason this gets a B, because obviously, if you know, Forbidden Planet and movies at that level, I obviously put it in the A category. So.
Yep, I agree. And Gorilla, how are we doing on the chat? Would you like to cover that before we close this session?
Yeah,
I know it's late for you, Gorilla. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Hanging in like a trooper.
Yeah,
Suzanne says
Gorilla usually does.
Suzanne says yes, they would. And like he says, we gave it a solid B plus.
Nice.
We
Nice.
do not have the fifth. We have the Canadian Evidence Act, similar to pleading the fifth. Okay.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Suzanne gave it an A plus.
All right.
Mike, you and Suzanne are in TO. Yes, outside of downtown. Mikey, I was born in Brampton. Great show, Pop. Good show, Pop Grill.
Thank you.
Bye, LOL.
Thanks, Mikey.
And here's Scurvy putting our links in the chat. Thank you, Scurvy. Then Mikey says, hope to see you this Saturday all for Cringe Stock number 3 at 1
Be
p.m.
there.
Time.
You don't have a set time for Cringe Talk on Saturday yet, do you, Gorilla?
It'd be 10 o'clock your time.
10 a.m. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Do I need to change it?
No, well, the trouble is, Saturday I could be watching Voyager with Jill on Saturday, but I guess I could maybe skip that. Well, it all depends on the movie. If it's cringy enough, I might watch it. If it doesn't appeal, I'd probably just hang out with Jill on her channel. Whatever.
Alrighty. That's all the chats.
Thank you, Gorilla. And I want to thank everybody in the chat, each and every one of you, for coming and spending time with us. I hope you enjoyed it. If there are any of you out there who have not subbed to my channel, please consider doing so. I think I have a lot of things that will keep you entertained. And I have more things that are exciting and interesting coming up. But most of all, I want to thank everybody on the chat personally, PvP, and Gorilla, and Nemesis. Thank you guys for helping me out tonight, because I definitely could not have done this without you.
No, you're very, very welcome. We you know how much we love and enjoy being here, hanging out with you, Pup.
Yeah, of course, buddy. Anytime.
Well, glad to do it. Believe me, it's fun, and I look forward to it. That helps me get to the doctor. I had an appointment earlier, and this is what helps me get to the doctor, is knowing that I have the stream tonight. Sean Carter says, sorry, I've been quiet. I'm painting Jupiter 2 bulkheads. I would
Wow.
say show me more, Sean, but sometimes less is more, because I can't wait to be surprised when I see it done. Lemon Pie says, thanks, Pop. You are quite welcome, Lemon Pie. And Mikey says, thank you, Sean, Suzanne, and Lemon. Lemon Pie says, thanks, Nemesis, Gorilla, Captain, and PvP. Lemon Pie says, thanks, chat. Okay, so
Night, Lemon.
everybody have a great night.
Lemon.
Get some sleep, everyone, and drive safely tomorrow. And if you can join us on the Rumblings from the live stream next, that'd be wonderful. If not, I'll maybe hopefully see most of you guys on the Lost in Space stream on Monday.
Yeah. Sleep, what's that?
Sounds
Sleep,
good.
what's that, huh?
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. I can't pick the right one, right?